just what I was gonna do. But
Do you know what we're here for? The equal parts. Oh my gosh.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
Illegal. It's a bold strategy, Con. Let's see if it pays off for you.
Close it up, just like my wife's vagina.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
That's too much, man.
Climate and everything are the same.
Would you drum up?
Thanks, Jeff, for the question.
A fucking bench.
So hot right now.
There's no point in you betraying your future self to gratify your present self. It's a stupid game.
I made a huge, tiny mistake.
Right now.
Your name, please?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious,
Consequences.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Oh, never occurred to me.
Interesting.
It's just crazy enough to work.
Yeah.
Follow the ridgeway, man.
Are you not entertained? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
China. I have to have my China.
now you'll see just how I won that championship.
I see that you know your judo.
It's science.
This is from 12 Rules for Life.
What now?
Don't even play.
Aren't I a good guy?
Mm-hmm. Jesus ain't say that.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
I don't want reality.
In the Ice Age. That's too much, man.
So hot right now.
That's hot.
Come on!
Well, here we are again, folks. Fantastic to have you here. Got a hell of a lot to look at today, so we better get right to it. Strap on those seatbelts, folks, as traveling through the abyss may experience some turbulence. Well, good to see everybody who's shown up so far. Noah, Noah, Selena Marie. The dogs are Goth. Robot Cat. Morbius Dragon. Afroponics. Jerry McLean. Disco Wolf. Elso Verde. Bob Carmody. Stephen K. I think that's everyone. Free shoutouts to everybody who makes it to the beginning of the stream. Alright, what are we going to talk about today? So many questions. Sounds like our chatters is dealing with some real serious life shit. Totally fucked. Sorry to hear that you are experiencing some sort of personal attack, as Jerry is. Put it here. Actually, no. Sorry. Doing too many things at once. Talking about Bob over here has had his food stamps hacked and stolen, which is fucked. He's been dealing with some sort of a lady problem. Alright, well, let's get right to it, folks. Where are we gonna start here? Yeah, let's start with this from the Associated Press. No, wait, no. Wait, is that how I have this set up right now? Who did this? Who made this list? Who was in charge of this list today? That is my question. Was it me? Okay, yeah, let's start with the Associated Press. From 23 hours ago. I know I said, I think it might have been yesterday, that I thought we had covered enough of the Trump assassination attempt, but we are going to quickly touch on that before we get into the RNC, which has been going on all day. Tried to do a live stream during it, but it was just too painful to sit there and watch. Omega Star the second, Princess Moanop got first. Third is still available to anybody watching on Twitch. Alright, Associated Press. 23 hours ago. Misinformation fills the internet after Trump assassination attempt. Full screen, please. There we go.
A flurry of conspiracy theories, misleading claims,
Why is that so
and
quiet?
debunked allegations are filling the internet as people go online to make sense of the event.
Hold on. Excuse me. Oh, I I see. The volume is at, like, literally as low as it can be.
A flurry of conspiracy theories, misleading claims, and debunked allegations are filling the internet as people go online to make sense of the event. In the hours after the shooting, we saw two distinct conspiracy theories emerge on social media platforms. One that seemed to be spread mostly by people on the left side of the political spectrum, suggested that this was somehow a false flag, that former President Trump and his campaign somehow orchestrated this event as a way to garner sympathy and support from Americans. On the right, there were quite a few claims being spread by some self-professed Trump supporters that the Secret Service was slow to protect the former president, perhaps on the orders of the White House. Now, let me be very clear, there's no evidence for either of these conspiracy theories, but they reflect the kind of claims that are spreading in this very polarized, emotional climate in the immediate aftermath of the assassination attempt.
Yup. That is what generally the vibe has been. There are people just coming up with the whatever theory fits their personal beliefs, which I suppose may be. Oh my god, what is happening? What the fuck? You have a problem here. Hold on. You were owed a Buddy Jesus on a Raptor with the pride flag and an Astrid Farnsworth. But this Jocelyn Bell Burnell is completely out of the question. She was not part of that deal, which was made last night. With those of you who were at the stream. Hold. Please hold. Alright, there's Buddy Jesus. Keep calling him Buddy Jesus, even though he's technically called Buddy Christ. That's just what makes sense in my head. Where are you? There you are. Okay, boom. Astrid. Buddy with the Raptor. Okay. Fixed it. Hey, yeah. Alright. Alright, let's quickly look at this Wall Street Journal report from a day ago asking and attempting to answer the question, who was Thomas Matthew Crooks?
Here's what we know about Thomas Matthew Crooks, the 20-year-old suspect who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump. After Crooks fired multiple shots from an AR-style rifle, a Secret Service sniper shot and killed him. In a briefing Sunday, the FBI said that limited insights from his recent communications didn't reveal anything about Crooks's motive, or suggest that anyone else was involved. But some answers may lie in Crooks's cell phone, which the FBI shipped to its lab in Virginia. Crooks lived in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about an hour's drive south of Butler, where the rally took place.
Thomas Crooks.
He graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022. He seemed to have little social media presence or record of political activism.
He was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much. He'd wear hunting outfits sometimes.
Pennsylvania voting records show that he was a registered Republican. And on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration, a Federal Election Commission record shows Crooks gave $15 to the Democratic-aligned Progressive Turnout Project. Crooks did appear to have an account on Discord, a messaging app. A Discord spokesman said he hadn't posted on that account in months, and that the platform had removed his account based on its off-platform behavior policy. Witness accounts placed Crooks on a roof less than 450 feet away from Trump.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us.
Crooks' father, who the gun had belonged to, assumed his son had gone to a gun range, but became concerned when he couldn't reach him, according to people familiar with the investigation. He called police after news of the shooting. The FBI also said that Crooks hadn't been on the agency's radar as a possible threat before the shooting, and that there were no signs of mental health issues.
Oh boy.
Rid of the Second Amendment?
Honestly, though, that is kind of more evidence for, or what do you call it? Not necessarily evidence, but I guess you could call it that. But more reasons to just get rid of the Second Amendment and stop trying to means test people's ability to have guns by way of mental health or whatever else. Okay. Speaking of the Second Amendment, let's talk to this guy. From 23 hours ago, this is the Milwaukee Chief of Police out on that very issue.
That people can carry firearms within that soft perimeter.
So again, the Secret Service inner perimeter is our primary jurisdiction, so I would defer any questions related to outside of that zone to my partners here on the stage. Yeah.
So one of the things I've understood in regards to the inner perimeter, it's the largest inner perimeter that has been part of the convention, to my understanding. Maybe I have to get that clarified. And so that is one important point to be able to understand in regards to what that level of security about what the inner perimeter looks like. In regards to the ability to carry a firearm outside of the inner perimeter, again, our state law allows for the particular right to carry a firearm. We as a city cannot legislate out of that, and I don't know if our mayor wants to speak on that anymore in regards to that. And so for we, in regards to our law enforcement aspect, we have to operate within those guidelines. Unless there's something that is against state law, we have to respect Second Amendment right to carry your firearm, especially in regards to open carry or carry and conceal if you're licensed. And so
yeah, the police are more interested in protecting a constitutional amendment relating to guns than the people at the RNC, but hey, what can you expect? You can't make sense of how he missed. Well, I can to some degree. I mean, the fact is that, you know, from that distance, an AR really isn't the best. This is a fucked conversation. Technically, an AR isn't the best weapon for, you know, trying to shoot from that far, right? It would have been better if he had like a R700, like a Remington sniper rifle or something like that. The accuracy between those two guns is miles apart. All right, miles is a bit of a stretch, but oh, I see what you're saying. How it is that people missed him. How people didn't see how he was missed. I see what well, he wasn't necessarily missed. It seemed like people did notice him and tried to point him out. But, and actually, he wasn't actually missed. We talked about this detail yesterday, right? He got up on that roof, and a cop actually was notified, went up there, and when the cop got up there, the shooter, Matthew Crooks, turned on the police officer with his rifle, at which point the officer jumped off the roof. That's what I understand. We like, I think we talked about it yesterday or something like that. Must have been yesterday. But yeah, that fucking breakdown we did yesterday, there was at least one story where they talked about how an officer actually made contact with him, but was forced to essentially, well, forced is operative word. I suppose you could say it was their duty to not run away, but at least from what I understand, a cop did in fact get up on the roof and then got off of that roof after a gun was pointed at him. Another reason.
Get rid of the Second Amendment.
Okay. What's next? Now, here's somebody who I really, really have zero respect for, but who has just the most respect for the Second Amendment. Let's hear what he has to say. This is, what is his name? Chip Roy, defending the right to bear arms.
Palladium of the liberties of a republic, since it offers a strong moral check against the usurpation and arbitrary power of rulers, and will generally, even if these are successful in the first instance, enable the people to resist and triumph over them. We have a Second Amendment because we understand in this country that there are some things, inalienable rights, that you cannot justly take away from a free and equal human being. Tyrants disarm the people they intend to oppress. Those are the facts. Jewish people in Germany were prohibited from owning arms.
So yeah, he thinks that owning guns is necessary to protect liberty and freedom, because government might get a little too, whatever, right? They might might try and start a genocide or something. So we need guns for that, just in case so we can take them down. It's a really interesting sort of thought process. And the fact is that the Second Amendment wasn't in the Constitution. It was in the Bill of Rights, right? It was written by James Madison back, I think 2 years after the actual Constitution was signed. Felt it was necessary based upon his, sort of historical, what do you call it? Views on the monarchy, right, from England. And, you know, it's not 1800 anymore, right? And we don't have... One thing I would like people to think about, because the fact is, if you read the Second Amendment, the actual reasoning for it, because there's stuff, people say a well-regulated militia is necessary, but that's not a reason. That's just a statement of opinion, right? And then the actual reasoning for it is to, what's the word? What's the actual phraseology that they use? Oh, God. To protect a free state. I can't remember the fucking... I don't have it memorized like some sort of fucking psycho. Necessary to the security of a free state, right? So unless we don't believe in democracy, my opinion is that the Second Amendment shouldn't exist, okay? Unless we don't believe in democracy, and that the only way to maintain it is not by voting, not by politics, but instead by violence. That is my personal opinion, and you can disagree with that, but I think it's hard to make the argument, because the only reasoning given in the Second Amendment for it has to do with the security of a free state, okay? And that's my main issue with the Second Amendment in general, okay? And it just I don't know. The conversation around guns in this country really frustrates me oftentimes. Anyway, let's move on. Away from Mr. Psycho Roy and on to the Psycho... Oh, wait! Almost forgot. Let's quickly go here. Before we actually get to the RNC, let's go to this from Forbes Breaking News. And also the Associated Press, because we're going to watch both of these probably. Maybe not. Let's just look at some of the protests outside of the RNC that are happening were happening earlier today as people were arriving at the convention.
This is Democracy Now!
Oh shit, I forgot about the Democracy Now! Piece. Oh, son of a... Fuck it. I already laid it up. Gotta keep moving. Interesting. I didn't actually know this. I didn't look at this earlier.
Let's end the homelessness. Let's get rid of the two-party system and build a new.
I don't know if anybody noticed all the land back flags and the Palestine flags in here. I certainly just did.
World, because the U.S. it's necessary here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy sounds like. This is what democracy sounds like.
Yeah, this is what democracy sounds like. Not guns. Right? Once again, a reason for why I think that we should get rid of the Second Amendment.
Rid of the Second Amendment?
More of this, less guns.
Our streets! 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 Our country! Our country! Our country! Our country!
Ho ho! I'm so fucking.
Republicans have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! The Republicans have got to go, hey, hey!
Oh, Jerry with a fun fact. Sleep tight comes from back in the day when you had to tighten strings, keeping mattress material together before bed. Wow. You know, yeah, every day you learn something. Wow, there's quite a lot of people here. I wasn't sure what the crowd was going to look like for this protest. We've been hearing about it for weeks now. Good to see people decided to show up. DC is a bit far from space for me, but I certainly support them. Okay, what's next? Oh God. Oh, not these girls. Jesus Christ. You know what? No, we're gonna watch more. We're gonna watch more protest footage. We're going to do this AP one first. I don't even want to go to this video yet. I do not like these next this next video at all. Not excited. I can barely read this.
Vote for our leaders. If you don't do it, we're locking you up. I think Donald Trump should be held accountable for the crimes he has committed. Crimes as defined by his actions. Actions that are listed in the criminal statutes as crimes.
I agree.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Oh, shut up. Shut up, Don. Had enough of your shenanigans. Indigenous resistance since 1492. It's a great place to pause. It's a great place to pause. 532 years of indigenous resistance to our having ethnically cleansed the entire Native American population. Oh boy. Alright, now we're gonna go to this just wild Well, it's not wild. I think many of us are probably just well aware of the existence of these people. I got a couple of frustrating videos like this for us today, but we're going to break them up a little bit. Let's go to this. From C-SPAN. I believe these two women we're about to see here are outside of the RNC, ready to go on a bus tour of terrible. Let's hear what they're about.
Yeah, we're here at Concerned Women for America. We're here to meet everyone here at the RNC. We're so excited. We're actually kicking off our She Prays, She Votes bus tour. It's right behind me. This thing is going coast to coast this summer.
Jesus Christ.
And we're just having events all across the country to pray over this election.
Now, what is the Concerned Women for America?
Good God. Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, gotta hydrate. Concerned Women for America. Well, let's hear what their fucking concerns are. I'm sure they're totally normal and non-problematic.
Yeah, so Concerned Women for America is one of the largest women's public policy organizations down in Washington, D.C. That's where our headquarters is. We started it based out of the feminist movement. Miss Beverly LaHaye, who recently just passed away, started it because she saw how the feminist movement was kind of targeting women, saying that all women are to adopt this feminist ideology.
Wow. The feminist movement is targeting women. Wow. No one's forcing you to be a feminist. I mean, granted, your ability to vote was won by feminists, but hey, you don't have to adopt the ideology that is providing you with the rights that you're enjoying right now.
And so she said, absolutely not. Know that we are biblical women. We're going to embrace our biblical femininity. And so here we are
Our
today.
biblical femininity.
Here, we have
Your biblical femininity means that you're chattel, you're a cow, you're property. I mean, do you know what happened to women? Have you read the Bible? There are so many fucked stories about things that patriarchs did to women, just men in general. God. What the fuck? Oh, boy.
If you know what a woman is, it's crazy you even have to say that in 2024, but here we are, and we're going to continue to stand on common sense.
And what are you hoping to accomplish here at the Republican Convention?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first off, again, we're just getting back to common sense, embracing biblical values, embracing just, again, these common sense ideas. And as we're talking to all these people, it's been so encouraging just getting to hear their perspectives. You know, not everybody agrees on the same issues. Maybe we have different opinions, but overall we stand on the common ground and the common truth that, number one, men shouldn't be in women's bathrooms. You can't change your...
That's the common ground. Oh my God. She's like, the very common sense ground that everybody's talking about. No men in women's bathrooms. That's the foundation. It's the building block of our common goals. Jesus Christ.
Next, we support Israel because God commands us to, among a slew of other issues. So I think ultimately it's just getting back to the root of what our country was founded upon, and that's Judeo-Christian principles and values.
Until our common Judeo-Christian values. So when she means common, she means a specific group of common. Because there are, in fact, a whole bunch of people in this country who don't ascribe to supposed Judeo-Christianity. Like, what? Good God. And by the way, I'm sorry for the loud noises. That was me smashing my helmet against the microphone. Okay, so yeah, here's our introduction to the outside of the RNC. Let's go inside. Here, from 5 hours ago, where Trump receives enough delegate votes to officially become the Republican nominee. Go. Please. What are you doing? Go, Web, go. Why do you hate me? Is it because there's writing on the fucking bus? There we go.
On behalf of our entire family, and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump.
Wow.
Hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
By the way, you know, I noticed while looking at this, which to me is weird. Maybe it's just me. Do you see anything? Anybody else see what I see? Duh, I'm Eric Trump and I look stupid. Yeah. Wait, wasn't that Donald? Wasn't that Don Jr.? I always get those two idiots mixed up, not gonna lie. They're basically the same person to me. But do you see what I'm seeing? Because I mean, I think during when we were trying to live stream this, we were talking about all the fucking cowboy hats. But you know what the cowboy hats look like from this far away? Anybody? Can anybody guess what I'm thinking? Like the white hats, the red sort of baggy shirts. For me, what comes to mind is they look like a bunch of handmaids from the fucking Handmaid's Tale. Penis? I mean, that's a good second, but no. The first thing that I think of when I look at them is I see a bunch of handmaids down there. Like they're wearing some sort of weird, like quasi, what do you call it? Oh my god, my brain is broken. Under Gary's eye. Oh my god, that just broke me inside. Well played. Well played. Yeah, when I was like briefly scanning that clip before, I was like, wait a second, are there a bunch of literal handmaids down there? And I was like, oh no, that's just a bunch of dudes in their Republican obligated uniform. How do you get Gary? You have to type the secret text to get Gary. First, you must accept Gary into your heart. Oh boy. You want to Minecraft? Minecraft time? A little Ender Dragon for you? Or are you more of a builder? Let's go next to this. If you haven't heard, J.D. Vance has been chosen by Donald Trump as his vice presidential pick. Look at this from CBS News from 4 hours ago.
We're gonna toss to Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, because J.D. Vance. Nope, not J.D. Vance.
Nope.
Oh. Brenna Byrd, who is the Attorney General
This dude
of
is doing
Iowa,
such a good job.
is now approaching the podium, and we are awaiting. The reason we jumped in, we are awaiting J.D. Vance's arrival.
Vice President of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance.
There he is. Wow, Jerry. Lame-ass music. Are you shocked by the fact that they're playing lame-ass music at the RNC of all places? Because to me, that seems like the place. If you are a fan of bad music, this is the place to be. Yeah, he's so proud of himself. Is his wife Indian? Or Pakistani or something? Oh, we both asked the same question simultaneously. Well played. Well played. So it seems like we're all on the same page. Not gonna lie, with a guy like JD Vance, I kind of assumed his wife was going to be, you know, what do you call it? Christian, white nationalist Barbie. This is like hillbilly music? No, this is hillbilly music. And I think they're not doing that accidentally, right? Because JD Vance's sort of claim to fame, if you will, aside from being a congressperson, is the fact that he wrote that fucking book, Hillbilly Elegy, right? So my guess is it's like a direct reference to him, that book, and his sort of like, you know, Appalachian sort of upbringing, or whatever you call it.
Once more.
All right, that's enough. We've had enough of this. We get it. The guy is vice presidential candidate now for the Republicans. Let's move on to see Biden's response to J.D. Vance as Trump's running mate. This is from ABC News from around the same time.
We saw Don Jr. make the big announcement. He, his sister, his brother, wife, girlfriends, all in tow in the crowd, and they went wild.
They absolutely did. Kira, I do want to pick up on the question you just asked Terry, because I'm staying right on point with you, Kira, because you mentioned that statement that came out a few minutes ago from the Biden-Harris campaign. Clearly, the gloves coming off. Donald Trump Jr., who, as we saw, speak to our Rachel Scott, and I can tell you has been really the architect between J.D. Vance getting on the ticket with his father, just put out this tweet, Kira. I want to read it in part. It reads, quote, Biden is stuck with the worst VP in the history of our nation. President Trump is one of the most dynamic young leaders in the country, referencing J.D. Vance. He goes on to say our party has never been more unified. But again, that tone clearly stripping away from what we have seen over the last 48 hours of trying to take the temperature down. You know, as President Biden said from the Oval Office at some point over the last few days, Kira, it was going to get back to vigorous debate, and clearly we're very much entering that. But look, I do think that this is a major...
Hey, hold on. Don't they... Why are they debating me? I could have sworn... Oh, these fucking assholes. Whatever. Honestly, it wasn't exciting, Joe Biden's response to this. He came out of the plane and said, like, 2 words about it. So, really not groundbreaking news. But let's talk about JD Vance real quick. Am I on live chat? I am on live chat. Okay, good. Yeah, let's talk about JD Vance just a little bit. This is PBS NewsHour from 4 hours ago. JD Vance's evolution from Trump critic to running mate.
Meanwhile, Trump's pick for vice president was being closely watched, and it's notable that the man he ultimately chose is a relative newcomer to politics.
No, yeah, well played. That I should have amended the title. Sometimes I manage to amend titles as I'm going to be more accurate, but other times I'm just winging it.
Watched, and it's notable that the man he ultimately chose is a relative newcomer to politics. J.D. Vance rose to fame in 2016 with his best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, documenting his upbringing in a white, working-class Appalachian family struggling with poverty and addiction.
But as we mentioned, Senator Vance has been a staunch ally of the former president. In a statement on his conservative social platform, Truth Social, Mr. Trump congratulated Vance, saying, quote, "As vice president, J.D. will continue to fight for our Constitution."
Didn't he compare him to the failed Austrian painter boy? Yes. Yes, he did. He very explicitly said that, apparently.
Stand with our troops and will do everything he can to help me make America great again. Joining us to talk about all this is Ohio Public Media State House News Bureau Chief Karen Kassler. She's been following Vance for many years. Karen, thanks so much for being with us.
Karen, thanks for being with us.
What
Mr. Vance, Senator Vance has now been tapped.
Oh, that's the perfect name to be the person following J.D. Vance at all times. My God, it's almost like that's like fate or something.
This role, we know he's a young senator, not spending too much time in politics so far, but you've been covering him. What should we understand about why you think he was tapped to be the vice president?
Well, he is the second youngest member of the U.S. Senate, so that potentially brings in younger voters, possibly. He's got a young family. He's only 2 years in office and never held elected office before he ran for the U.S. Senate. He was elected in 2022 after winning a brutal 7-way primary that was the most expensive in Ohio history. And so I think that there may be the thought that because of his age, his military service, some of these things might be part of the reason why he was picked. He also has a strong business background. He came from California as a venture capital, working at a venture capital firm. So that could indicate that maybe that's something that Trump is looking at as well.
Yeah, no kidding. Trump has been having some real financial issues, and having a dude who is loaded and who happens to be tied to VC money, yeah, that might come in handy later. I don't know.
And Karen, as Lisa mentioned, years ago, back during the 2016 race, Vance was a critic of Donald Trump. Here's what he told Judy Woodruff when he appeared on this program years ago to talk about his book.
Donald Trump doesn't necessarily have a good message either. That's maybe not the best approach to politics. It's not how you win these folks over. And if you're worried about them being racist now, when you push them away and push them to somebody like Trump, you're only going to make the problem worse.
So how...
Oh, really? So pushing people to Trump is bad for America, according to J.D. Vance. My God. Unexpected. Money is why? Yeah. No, certainly. I think that is definitely a big part of this decision. However, I do think that the fact that... where is J.D. from again? I think he's from... He grew up in West Virginia. I'm trying to remember. Hold on. Ohio. Oh, even worse. That totally confirms it, at least for me. So yeah, the money is a huge portion of this, but I think this sort of hillbilly kind of vibe, this sort of Rust Belt sort of personality that he has, I think is also being factored in here, right? Because the fact is that he needs to win the Rust Belt to win the election, right? And having somebody who's from the Rust Belt who happens to be completely loaded and, also connected to a lot of money, it's not going to hurt either, right? At least for them. For the rest of us, might be a problem.
Has his persona, his political ideology evolved since then?
Well, that clip is mild compared to some of the things that Vance said about Trump. He compared Trump to Hitler. He called Trump an idiot. He said he was a never-Trumper. He has walked all of those statements back. And it's interesting because his path to where he is now kind of mirrors the way that a lot of Republicans feel in the Republican Party, that the party has kind of moved and Vance has moved along with him.
Sounds like a man with real scruples. Convictions, if you will. And if we just go by his own words, he is the new vice presidential partner of Hitler. Or the second coming of Hitler, according to him. Which, I mean, I guess I wouldn't disagree with that statement. So, good job. Yes, a man with a strong set of morals indeed. Okay. Now let's listen to this woman with a strong set of morals. Okay, enough moral jokes. Let's listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, that's a space laser. Okay. What do you got, MTG? Oh, hold the fucking phone.
Please welcome Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hold the fucking phone. We have how many likes? We have 25 likes. Nobody said a peep? What is happening? 25 likes, not a peep. Come on, people. You're just kicking yourselves with this. 15. That's a Pink Panther. And number 2. 8. Wait, that's another asteroid. I can't. What is up with these dice? 5. What? How is that possible? We've had Morty 4 days in a row. I swear to God. What was it Pink Panther and Morty? Okay. Go back. Yeah. All right. Back to MTG.
Georgia.
It makes me really sad. Not gonna bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
Don't even play.
You know what makes me really sad? Because I had a better video of this. AP put out a video, and then they took it down. Because the fact is they uploaded a video that was, like, completely corrupted, and it made her look like a fucking demon. And then they took it down because they realized that it was corrupted. But it was a superior video to this one we're about to watch, so I'm a little disappointed. Everybody here can blame the Associated Press for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Today is a celebration. The American spirit is alive and well. And we have once again nominated for president the founding father of the America First movement, Donald John Trump. Unfortunately, this is also a
She looks very sunburned. Her shoulders are about the same color as this dress. Am I losing it?
somber moment for our nation. 2 days ago, evil came for the man we admire and love so much.
Jesus
I thank
Christ.
God that his hand was on President Trump. Jesus, I say that. And I pray for the family of Corey Comprator, who was killed at the rally, and for other attendees who were wounded.
I think this is the first time ever that Marjorie Taylor Greene has prayed for somebody who was the victim of gun violence. I mean, this woman loves guns. I mean, good God. I've never heard her say a bad thing about a bullet in my life.
He embodied the spirit of America First. He displayed the ultimate show of love when he shielded his wife and daughter, sacrificing his own life. He reminded America of what we must be, a people who will do whatever it takes to defend the people and the nation that we love.
Exactly. I almost fucking forgot about that. When she was chasing around, what's his name? Hogue. Can't remember his first name. But, like, yeah, the victims of the, oh, God, there's so many goddamn mass shootings in our country. Why can't I remember all of the names of that? That is the problem. Somebody like me who can't remember, we're at a problem. It was the one in Florida, right? God damn it, I can't even think of it now. But yeah, that's how she became David Hogue. Thank you. Yes. And she, like, she chased this guy around and all the victims of Sandy Hook that she could find. Thank you, Bob, for the Sandy Hook. Yes. Like, she has never had any problems with it until now. Until today, all, all criticisms of gun violence, all, mass shootings were a literal hoax. That's how she became a fucking congresswoman, by claiming the gun violence was a hoax.
Thank you. I love you too. We will honor Corey's memory by building the country.
Wow, was that a Rick and Morty reference, Bob? We're a hive mind? Oh my god. Well played, especially with Morty out on the board.
He wanted. The country he wanted for his children. And a government worthy of the American people. For far too long, the establishment in Washington has sold us out.
Isn't she part of the establishment in Washington now, technically? Kind of. Not a fan of the show? That's fine. That's okay. Yeah, that's enough of her. We've had enough. I've reached my MTG limit for the evening. Let's move on to another person who I'm sure I will have to stop listening to some way through this. Here's Mr. Tim Scott, who was vying for the vice presidency, or the vice presidential candidacy. Very recently, he was playing dress up in Trump cosplay fashion. Now he's out to tell us about all of this. Here we go.
Scott of South Carolina.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, Milwaukee. Are you ready for 4 more years of Donald Trump?
This
me
fucking
too.
guy.
Listen, if you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now.
This guy is really going for the preacher vibe right now. I don't know if anybody else is picking up on it, but I certainly am.
Thank God Almighty that we live in a
Where did
country
this come from, Dan?
that
You
still
never
believes
talked like this in your
the
life.
King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega. And our God still saves, he still delivers, and he still sets free. Because on Saturday, the devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared. Oh yeah, he roared. Yeah, yes he did. Yes he did. You see, America, this is a difficult time for our nation. Inflation is crushing families.
Okay, Tim Scott. Hold on. I'm going to skip ahead to this. What the fuck?
Filled with huge American factories, powered by abundant American energy, building.
Jesus Christ! Gotta get the oil in here somehow, of course, and the natural gas. Can't forget that in a speech.
What America needs, creating generational wealth for blue-collar workers. You see?
Worst roar attempt of all time? It's possible. I don't have a chart on best to worst roars, but it's certainly in the bottom percentile, if I had to guess. Enough of you, Tim. Enough. I've had enough. Jesus Christ. Oh. I did not hear him say... Did he say reparations? I did not hear that. Do I have to go back and listen to that again? Oh my god. He's no raptor. So true, Gabby. So true. Okay, let's go on to this. Hold on, I gotta refresh my list. Something's wrong. You can only take small doses of fuckery? Yeah, you and me both. You and me both. Alright. Well, if you weren't expecting it, I would say to you, what?
Could you drum up?
This is Trump arriving backstage at the RNC in his first public appearance since the assassination attempt. By the way, this isn't directed at anyone in particular, but if you have recently signed up for the Patreon, don't forget to check the app and or the website, as there is a couple of messages that have come from me that you need to answer to take advantage of your newly earned patron benefits. Okay, now let's look at this. Why is there no sound? Oh, here we go. Thanks, Forbes, for no sound. You're doing so good. It's pissing me off that there's no sound. Let's go to the next one. Where's Melania? Great question. I don't think she, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Oh, that's terrible. Oh god, I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person for thinking that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lee Greenwood.
Say it? Alright, I'll try and say it in the most diplomatic possible way. In her marriage contract, I don't think that included her signing up for the Secret Service.
Hello, RNC. Is there any doubt who's going to be the next president of the United States? Prayer works. This nation based on on faith. Prayer works.
No.
Jesus, I say
No,
that.
our nation is not based on faith, you fucking crazy idiot. Why do people keep saying this? Well, it's not people, it's entirely Republicans.
As he was sure,
Oh my god.
as Donald Trump.
Okay, we are going to skip ahead of this bullshit.
Today, because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Don Jr. here is looking almost misty-eyed a little bit, like he's about to tear up or something. Wait. Wait, no, that's Eric, isn't it? Shit. I'm always forgetting. I'm always mixing those two idiots up. You think it's the Coke? Yeah, that actually checks out. Okay, I cannot listen to this song anymore. Are they gonna stop? When are they gonna stop with the song? Okay, we've had exactly enough of this song. At least me. I know I'm speaking for all of you, but I personally, I'll just say it that way, I'll take responsibility for this. I personally have had enough of that song. Ugh, so much Handmaid's Tale. I am laughing because otherwise I'm gonna either rage or cry. Because yeah, it does feel like that's where we're headed. Your ears are bleeding? I'm sorry. That's my fault. It really is. Okay, let's go to this. I'm gonna have to queue this one up because it's a 4-hour-long stream from CNN. But if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Trump actually speak? Does he not speak? Oh, weird. It doesn't look like he actually spoke at all. Huh. Weird. Okay, never mind. The fact is that it broke that he showed up to the RNC as I was getting this stream ready to go today. So I was assuming that if he made a appearance there'd be a speech, but it doesn't look like it. Oh, that's on Thursday. Oh, great. We have to hold our breath for that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Great, actually. I'm actually pleased that I don't have to listen to a Trump speech right now. Oh. Small miracles, chat. Small miracles. Oh, God. I don't even want to talk about this case, but we have to. Because this shit is not only relating to this election, but basically just like the rule of supposed law in this country in general. You probably, I feel like, heard about this already, but maybe not, as this only happened earlier today and not that long ago. But the judge on the Trump classified documents case has dismissed the case based upon, well, we'll see what that's about. Well, I know, but let's get to this first.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Laura Jarrett.
Good morning, everyone. We are coming on the air with breaking news about former President Donald Trump. NBC News has just learned that the federal classified documents case, the case where he's been accused of hoarding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate, has just been dismissed by a federal judge in Florida. This news comes as Republicans are set to officially nominate him for president later this week, and less than 48 hours after he survived that assassination attempt on him at a rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend. weekend. Obviously, this case.
Oh, I just realized that. Like, I was trying to interpret Good for Gabby's emojis here in chat. I just realized what it was. The white square.
Been bogged down in delays for months now. It didn't even have a trial date, but this is an enormous victory for the former president and his legal team. I want to get straight to NBC's Garrett Hake.
Okay. Now, this whole thing is a bunch of legal garbage. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say this from someone with a valid legal opinion, if you will. I'm just coming from the place of having at least been alive for the last 30 years or so, and being, 10,000 years or so, and also being capable of reading and knowing what's happened in the past. So, here's the thing. The judge has said that Jack Smith was appointed in a way that is unconstitutional, and therefore completely, according to the judge, negates the legality of the supposed charges being brought, or the prosecution, and then on all of it, right? But the fact is, this man was appointed, Jack Smith, by the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, okay? And the fact is for decades and decades, this has been the way that the justice system works, okay? There are appointments made outside of Congress by people like the U.S. Attorney General, people like the, what do you call it? What is... my brain just broke. But the point is that, like, people who run different sort of governmental judicial bodies, right, do in fact make appointments. And up until just now, people were fine with it, right? There was no sort of objections to this way of doing things until, and I think it was Clarence Thomas, the judge who is directly in the pocket of Harlan Crow and other billionaires, is, just suddenly, out of the blue, really, it is genuine. There is no reasoning for what he's doing here, aside from just, having it come to him like, just some sort of lucid dream. Oh my God, I just thought of this thing. This might be a problem that I've never once brought up until just now. And during the middle of a presidential election. This has nothing to do with politics, though, don't worry. But yeah, I think we can all, with any degree of skepticism, come to a different conclusion, in that it is incredibly and entirely political and has nothing to do with a basis in law. Thomas Jefferson came to me in a dream. Exactly, that's what happened to Clarence Thomas. Had nothing to do with Harlan Crow or his being in bed with Republicans. Let's go to CNN here to talk about it a little bit more. It's a mess now, quote unquote. Former judge on the future of the Trump documents case.
Let's get to CNN's Caitlin Polentz now. Caitlin, walk us through this ruling and this dismissal and what it means.
Yeah, well, it means that the case against Donald Trump and his two co-defendants in Florida for mishandling classified records, obstructing justice, that's over as of now. Judge Eileen Cannon is closing that case, dismissing it, no more proceedings there. And the reason, she says, is because it's not constitutional for special counsel Jack Smith to have brought this case, to investigate it, and to bring it against Donald Trump, pursue it to trial. She says that because she says Smith was a private citizen the Justice Department brought in from outside the government, and he is operating with very little oversight as special counsel. He was never Senate confirmed, and thus this is not a valid prosecutor in the way Congress has set this up and that the Justice Department, the executive branch, should allow. She also has issue with the funding behind the special counsel's office that they've been using. Much of this is very untested in a way where there has been law established. Judge Cannon is ruling on something other judges at her level, the trial level, have looked at across the country and have said, sure, special counsel cases can go forward, but it's very likely now this issue is going to be appealed. And Justice Clarence Thomas.
Right, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, I misspoke. It was the lower court justice who made the decision, but Thomas has now come out and affirmed what she has ruled, essentially. Right, so I misspoke, and I'm sorry for that.
On the Supreme Court even teed up this question of the constitutionality of the special counsel's office 2 weeks ago. He wrote in a concurrence on the presidential immunity decision related to Trump in his other case. There are serious questions whether the attorney general has violated that structure by creating an office of the special counsel that has not been established by law. Those questions must be answered before this prosecution.
For fuck's sake, this is where we're at. I've never felt in my entire life, as much as I do now, that the president is literally a king. I mean, it's basically been codified now by the Supreme Court. and this kind of stuff, I think we should prepare ourselves to be coming down the pipe. And if Donald Trump is, I mean, God forbid, but like, if he were to become president, we are in just an absolute just disaster of a fucking political and legal world. Not that we're not already in that to some degree already. But yeah, no, SCOTUS, it's just making things so much worse for us. Bob with the optimism 5 months away. Thank you for bringing context. We have time. Supposedly. Okay, where are we at right now? An hour and 30. We're doing okay. Let's go to PBS to kind of illuminate this a little bit more. What is next for the Justice Department after Trump's classified documents case is dismissed? I don't think...
Judge Aileen Cannon's dismissal of the classified documents case against former President Trump is his second major legal victory in weeks. In a 93-page ruling, Cannon said the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith, who's overseeing the case, was unlawful.
A spokesperson for the Department of Justice says it will appeal the ruling, and joining us now is Mary McCord. She was acting head of the Justice Department's National Security Division and a longtime U.S. attorney. Mary, thanks so much for being with us.
And Mary, we should point out here that this was not dismissed on the merits of the case, but rather, as we pointed out, it was about the way in which special counsel Jack Smith was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland. Other federal courts have upheld the constitutionality of special counsel. So based on your understanding, how out of step is the judge here with what you know legal precedent to be?
Well, she's quite out of step with the legal precedent. And I would say all of the cases, all of the courts who have upheld the appointment of the special counsel in the past, they've relied on a Supreme Court case called U.S. versus Nixon, which accepted for purposes of that case that the Attorney General had the authority to appoint special prosecutors with special responsibilities, and actually pointed to the same statutes that the Attorney General in this case relied on in appointing Jack Smith. But you know who she's not out of step with is Justice Thomas, who in his concurring opinion in the immunity decision spent several pages. In fact, the entire point of his concurring opinion was to call it.
Now, this is what's the problem. I mean, listening to things at 2X, sometimes I don't quite catch all the important details. And I'm sure people in chat have figured it out before me at this point. But just to clarify for myself out loud, and perhaps anybody in chat who's been misled by me trying to explain this and fucking up, the case that we've been talking about for the last, whatever, like few weeks since it happened, the immunity case, one of the opinions that Justice Thomas wrote is what it seems that this judge is essentially perhaps using to justify her decision, while she goes against all of the legal precedent from the last, whatever, 50, when was Nixon? 70 something? Something like that. Anyway, we actually don't have to listen to this whole thing right now. Kind of want to get to the end. Ah, fuck it, it's not that long.
To the fact that he thought it needed to be examined whether the appointment of Jack Smith violated the Appointments Clause. And that's not an issue that was before the court in the immunity case. It hadn't been briefed. It hadn't been argued. Nevertheless, he set out a roadmap for determining that the Appointments Clause was invalid. And if you read his short concurrence and her much longer opinion, Judge Cannon's much longer opinion, you'll see that she basically took his roadmap, added some more flesh to it, and that's her decision.
Mary, among the remaining cases facing the former president, this classified documents case was largely seen as the clearest cut. Could the special counsel, Jack Smith, bring this case in another jurisdiction, in D.C., for instance, where the courts there and the judges have far more experience handling these kinds of cases?
So I think the smartest thing, frankly, for Jack Smith, for the Department of Justice to do right now would be actually to re-indict the case, have a U.S. attorney re-indict the case, because...
Guess who the main U.S. attorney is? Merrick Garland. The same person who appointed Jack Smith. It's just silly. It's just a silly world we're living in. Now, I think this is probably the thing that they're going to have to do, but I think we all know what this means, right? Because this case had been in the works now for years. So I don't think any of us should be expecting for this case to be seen and to be heard and to be ruled on in the next 5 months. And if, Donald Trump is somehow in office in, whenever, the January or whatever, it'll mean absolutely nothing if he's convicted, because he'll just pardon himself or whatever else. And the fact is he's already got the backing of the Supreme Court that nothing he does as the president is illegal, right?
Illegal.
So this is bad. This is really bad. And the fact is just shortly before all of this, I was thinking, hey, maybe we'll have some movement on this fucking case before the election, right? Maybe people will finally accept that he, in fact, committed a crime. The same people who were, like, up in arms, quite literally to some degree, over Hillary Clinton's private servers in her home, right? Private servers. They weren't boxes full of classified documents that she brought home like it was like a art project or something. It was a private email server. And that we heard about that private email server ad nauseum for what felt like, I don't know, like 2 years or something like that. And yet the second that any of those folks heard about these documents, they immediately, oh, what are you talking about? He's the president, blah, 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 he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And it's just this ridiculous hypocrisy that none of them will ever just recognize. Wait, oh my God. We have 30 likes. I'm so sorry. That is Jessica Fletcher. Look at this beautiful cornucopia of support that we have here. Oh boy. Schmegley passing bird gas in chat? Good God. Okay. What's next? I figured we would just leave that there, keeping that in mind, that essentially the next step is for the U.S. attorneys to take up the case themselves and not use a special prosecutor. Now, I would point out, at least I believe that this was the case at the time, was that they chose Jack Smith so as to not appear biased or political, and chose outside of the DOJ. I mean, or outside of the U.S. Attorney's Office, right? If I'm not mistaken, that was the reasoning for picking Jack Smith in the first place. And now, all of that is just being completely thrown out. All this goddamn time. Yeah, exactly, Bob. To move it away from the proximity of the Biden administration, which we all know they were going to cry about. In fact, I think they were crying about it before it even happened. Okay, let's look at an incredibly disturbing story. This didn't happen outside of the RNC. This happened in Tennessee 17 hours ago from News Channel 5. Prepare yourselves. This is a fucked story. Nazi flags. Pro-white t-shirts. Hate group passes out flyers on Broadway in Nashville.
Illegal.
For the second time in 2 weeks, a hate group set up in downtown Nashville and passed out flyers to people promoting hate against those who are Jewish and the LGBTQ community. It led to a physical altercation and 2 people being arrested. Law enforcement says it didn't take long before things escalated and became physical after the protest started. Now, we want to let you know before you see this that some of the video you're about to see, it may be disturbing.
Yeah,
this group identifies themselves as the Goyim Defense League, a different group from the one that was marching downtown in recent weeks. Video shows them.
Okay, if you're not familiar with the word Goyim, it is a Yiddish word meaning non-Jewish, right? Actually, that might not be the direct interpretation, but that's how I've always interpreted it. But I think it generally refers more to Christians. But yeah, talk about some actual anti-Semitism happening in front of us. I wonder, will Congress, who just passed legislation surrounding anti-Semitism, be at all concerned about this? I have a theory, but it's not good.
Nazi flags and spreading white supremacist rhetoric at Broadway and 3rd Avenue on Sunday. At one point, a bar employee got into a fight with the protesters. Police say 29-year-old Ryan Scott McCann from Ontario, Canada was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. He's accused of hitting a Nashville bartender with a flagpole. His bond set at $81,000. That
should be higher. 81,000 should be 8.1 million. Oh, fucking disgusting. And the fact is, the guy who he assaulted also got arrested by Nashville PD for apparently, what was it again? I think they said it was not public intoxication. It was like what's it called? I always forget the name of this one. Whatever. Just pisses me off. Not jaywalking. It's like disturbing the peace, I think. Something like, it's like a misdemeanor or like a kind of like a traffic ticket almost, but still you're going to give the guy who was assaulted some kind of legal breach of peace, something like that. It's just idiotic. Carrying Nazi flags should be a breach of the peace, okay? Just definitionally. And yet, no. Congress is more focused on making sure people don't criticize Israel. That's more important. That's the kind of anti-Semitism that Congress is concerned about, not actual violent extremism. No, that's fine. Okay. I mean, thankfully one person was arrested who was involved in this, but the fact is way more of those people should just be in jail. That's my opinion, but hey, I'm not in... neither in law enforcement or the legislature. Now let's go to this. This is a less frustrating story. Here's WKBW from 5 hours ago. New York State Education Department proposes changes for girls and boys sports teams.
All new tonight, a proposed rule from the State Education Department could open the door for boys to play on girls' sports teams and girls to play on boys' sports teams. This week, students, parents, community members can submit comments on this proposal. So tonight, we are digging into what this amendment means and how local school leaders feel about it. 7 News senior reporter Maki Becker speaking to coaches in the Niagara Falls School District, as well as the school superintendent and the executive director of GLIS Western New York for their thoughts on this proposed rule.
The way things are working.
Honestly, I don't care about these people's thoughts on it. I just wanted the headline. It's a good potential decision. It has not happened yet, but it is a proposed change, which will be voted on. So, as of now, I think that I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive step to gender equality and acceptance of different gender identities and things like that. A small but perhaps important step. I can't say for sure. Eliminate the segregation. Okay, let's go to this. Global news from 12 hours ago. Okay, here's a story that's not political at all, really. Just for a little bit of fun. Just keeping up with American news. Copa America. If you're not familiar, Copa America is a soccer tournament, or football if you're from anywhere else but America, that is being held in Miami, Florida. That included all sorts of different American teams playing. And by American, I mean North and South American teams. I believe that this... I can't... Oh, shit. Was it Argentina versus... Oh, fuck. I can't remember who the other people were. But it was held, like I said, in Miami. However, things got a little out of hand at the stadium, as they apparently did not prepare super good.
What is going on here? People are getting into the Copa America through the ventilation system? What is going on here?
Soccer fans without tickets stormed past the gates of the Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday ahead of the Copa America final, and it all led to arrests and congestion outside of the grounds. Kickoff for the game was delayed for more than 1 hour. Fans climbed over fences and through vents in order to forcibly enter Sunday's match between Argentina and Colombia. Law enforcement and security were deployed to keep fans safe.
We've been here for an hour and a half outside the stadium. They opened the gate and there was total chaos. At least 500 people got in the last time they opened the gate, and we paid $10,000 for 5 tickets. And you're still outside, and they don't open the gate. It's chaos. I hope the World Cup, which is going to be in the U.S. as well, won't be the same, because it's a shitty organization. It's too big for them. God damn. Salida, entrada.
Tenemos entradas, obviamente, para ver la final, Argentina.
Oh God, we have tickets, obviously, to see the Argentina-Colombia final. The organization has been terrible. We have tickets, they won't let us in. They overflowed when they opened the gates. They let people in who didn't have tickets. We had no way of verifying that they could get in. We don't know if they came in with weapons, if they came in with what they had on them. Oh boy. I mean, the fact is I feel like people are very, very much just fanatical about their soccer, aka football. And, you know, I think you got to expect people to do whatever they can to get into these kinds of events. And I honestly, at this point, I don't, it doesn't seem like it was necessarily their fault. We must maintain order. Anyway, I just figured we'd watch a story unrelated to the politicals. Although it's kind of related to the politicals, since at least one of these people pointed out at least a couple things, not just about America, but I think that one of those comments was directly aimed at FIFA. Exactly. All right. Ugh, I hate this next story. I really do. I'm not gonna lie. This one makes me mad. And I think we looked at this earlier, but I can't remember. I know I saw this when it first happened. Although we may have skipped it. Some days we're very busy, so I can't say for sure. But let's go to this NBC LA from 2 hours ago, where authorities have now charged the Mercedes driver for slapping an autistic boy on the side of the street. Warning, this is disturbing.
Authorities, meantime, have charged a man accused of slapping a 10-year-old boy with autism.
The boy reportedly touched his car, so he pulled a U-turn, got out of the car, and apparently that is when it happened. NBC4's Ted Chen, live in downtown L.A., where the city attorney has filed charges. Ted.
That's right, Colleen, Annabelle. The defendant's name is Scott Sakajian. He has been charged with willful cruelty to a child and battery on a person in an incident that was caught on video that shocked the city and rallied people to help.
I wouldn't say that I'm happy. It's what's supposed to happen.
Antonio Villegas is the attorney for the Morales family, talking about the charges against the man who walked up to and slapped 10-year-old Alfredo Morales, who is autistic, after Alfredo touched the emblem on the...
What kind of piece of shit slaps a child? Right? I mean, first off, he clearly doesn't know the child. Not that that would somehow justify it, but to just slap a completely unknown child for touching your Mercedes-Benz? What a piece of shit. Just go fuck yourself, pal.
Mercedes at an intersection.
Better check it. Better check it. Yeah. Better check your car. Make sure it's fine.
In a criminal court.
The man is scheduled to appear in court August 2nd. He faces up to 6 months in jail. Villegas says he'll.
The kid's just laughing. This tiny kid. His mother's trying to protect him. What a kind of garbage. Person. I wish I was there.
Who have been homeless after Alfredo's father lost his job at a restaurant. He says the impact on Alfredo is ongoing.
To reprimand him,
he has started mimicking the conduct by smacking other people, something that he had never done at any point in his life. He hits himself whenever he sees
Jesus fucking Christ.
A black Mercedes-Benz that pulled up to his campsite the other day. He went over and kicked it.
Seriously though, this is the fucking downstream effects of violence, right? And this kid is developmentally disabled, okay? He has autism, and so he struggles to, or most likely struggles to understand verbal, physical cues to some degree, especially things that are, emotional, whatever. And I'm getting a little emotional myself right now. But like to do that to a kid like that, and now he's interpreting that behavior as something to do because a fucking adult came and did it to him, right? This is disgusting. I genuinely hope this family decides to sue and that they win and that this piece of shit has a lot of money to give out because god damn it, what an asshole. Okay, that's enough of that very frustrating story. I'm sorry, everybody. But wow, just didn't think we could skip over that one. That is just disgusting. And who knows how long it's going to take to undo that damage, to get this kid to learn that that's not the way to deal with your anger. That's not the way that you treat other people or yourself, right? Did you hear it? He's hitting himself now, too, which he wasn't doing before. That is just so horrifying. Fact is one of my best friends in the world is a teacher who teaches developmentally disabled children, and this is the exact opposite of what children like that need. That's it. Full stop. May his money put that boy's great-grandchildren through. May we all hope. May we all fucking hope. Let's go on to this. A slightly positive story for a moment. Denver 7 from 16 hours ago. Statewide home sales slide in June.
The statewide housing sales report is being released this morning, and while prices are still going up, buyers have a lot more choices. There were more than 12,000 new listings, about the same as a year ago at this time, but home sales dropped 14%.
Okay, yeah, we only did this for the graph. So yeah, people are still asking more for their homes, and there is an increase in the number of new listings. However, the sales have dropped precipitously. 15% is a huge number for a change in home sales, okay? And that may... This is just another data point in what we've been kind of looking at in terms of the housing picture in North America, Canada, United States, basically where we've been talking about this particular situation as it relates to the housing crisis. But it does seem that there is now a clear trend of increasing inventory, decreasing sales, which you know, according to economic theory or whatever, should in fact wind up at some point drastically putting a lot of pressure on prices, right? And granted, of course, most people can't afford to buy a home, but it will hopefully, well, not just hopefully, if home prices go down, right, rental prices will also go down as a result, or they should. That's just my thinking. Now, granted, I think you all know that I hate counting on the free market to do anything, and I'd much rather our government get involved in pretty much everything where people say the free market is the solution. But while we're still stuck in a capitalist hellscape, you know, at least keep track of the fucking numbers. Let's go to this. Speak a little bit more about that hellscape in which we live. Making ends meet. CBS Colorado as well. Oh no, last one was Denver 7. Both in Colorado. CBS Colorado, 4 hours ago. How most Americans feel unprepared to begin retirement. No way. What? You're kidding.
This year, the oldest members of Generation X are turning 59. That means they can start withdrawing retirement assets without penalty. But many people, in fact, 4 out of 5 Americans, already feel they are unprepared to begin
4 out of
retirement.
5.
Yeah, it can be daunting to think about as many continue to make ends meet. So I checked in with a financial professional to find out what options are out there for you.
Oh, good.
Your golden years are meant for enjoying the fruits of your labor. But a new national study from Prudential Financial shows Americans are struggling to get there. Roger Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Financial Group, says he sees this problem with clients here in Colorado often.
Gen X, those that are about 55 or have about 10 years before they actually retire, only about 1 in 5 are financially ready. About half of them, unfortunately, say that it would take a miracle for them to retire on time.
The study also revealed
Now, this has a lot of reasons, not gonna lie. I think we all can probably come up with our own reasons for this. And it would weave a tapestry of terrible. But, I mean, 401ks, the failed experiment of 401ks is a huge part of this. Inflation, free markets, which we were just talking about, just absolutely destroying us. Vulture capitalists like private equity and VC and all these other sorts of idiots who are making it harder for people wherever they turn, whether it be for housing or transportation or just getting food. It is all being affected by this ridiculous system that we have going right now. And unfortunately, at least according to that guy and Colorado CBS there, 4 out of 5 Gen Xers who are on the verge of, within the next decade, being of retirement age are now in what seems to be dire circumstances. The fact that half of people that he speaks to in that age bracket are of the belief that a miracle is required for them to be able to retire says a hell of a lot about where our fucking society is right now. Oh, God. And to talk more about just the rampant inequality and problems relating to our financial system, and well, let's just go to this from Fox 10 Phoenix from 3 hours ago. Balenciaga has come out with a trending, questionable accessory.
Balenciaga is once again trending for an unusual fashion item. This time it's a wristband made to look like a beat-up bracelet worn to get into a music festival. And it has a large price tag, of course. This item is called the
$4,000
bracelet and costs nearly $4,000. All right, this is getting ridiculous.
So this piece of a rag with a tiny metal clasp on it, $4,000. This is the ridiculous system that we live in right now, okay? And you know what? To drive this point home, I think we'll go to this video as well, which we talked about a little while ago. But we're in the wrong game. No kidding. No kidding. Let's, because here's the thing. Everybody, if you want, give me a guess on how much it costs to make this while we look at this next video discussing Dior. It's not a festival. It's not for a festival. It's just it's an accessory piece that they're selling at Balenciaga shop. It has nothing to do with any actual verifiable festival. They're just, it's a festival of assholishness is what it is.
For our next
Yeah, morals and ethics are a huge sort of what do you call it? So it's a significant block to my being a more financially capable person, I think. All right, let's go back.
Let me ask you 2 questions. Do you own a luxury handbag, and do you plan to buy one? Well, then
Limiting
here's some
factor.
news for
Thank you, Jonathan.
Recently, Italian prosecutors investigated the factories of Dior and Armani, and this is what they found: unsafe working conditions and
You don't understand. Do you wear it around your... Yes. Yes, you wear it around your wrist. It's a bracelet. It's meant to look like a festival bracelet to some degree. But yeah, it's just a bracelet.
illegal workers.
Oh, I gotta hydrate.
More importantly, they stumbled upon a crucial piece of information. Dior pays its suppliers $57 to make a bag. $57. That's around 5,000 Indian rupees for one bag. That's what it costs Dior, $57. Do you know how much they sell it for? Around $2,800. That's nearly 2.6 lakh Indian rupees, which...
Yeah. Doesn't get you into any music festival. No, you're right. It's so true. But it does probably get you into a bunch of weird conversations with fuckboys. That's just my thinking. Another hydrate? How dehydrated do you think I am? So yeah, Dior's luxury handbag. And granted, this was a leak, and I think we can apply this to practically everything that people like Dior or Balenciaga or any of the other high fashion assholes do. Is that they are charging basically 100 times, 50 to 100 times what it costs them to make, and they're paying people just basically pennies on the dollar for and just taking advantage of people who are impoverished, essentially, right? And we're not going to get too deep into this story, but I will point out that in this piece they mentioned that people who are working in Dior factories making those very bags were literally sleeping on cots inside of the factories. And we lock up drug dealers. Right, exactly. Because that's the society that we live in. Taking advantage of the poor and of disadvantaged people in general, that's just capitalism. But drugs, that might affect a few rich families. So we better get that one all tied up. A $4,000 cot. Okay, let's go on. Actually, let's not go on, and let's do this instead. Well, I hope you've all been enjoying the show so far. If you haven't already, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. If you've already done both of those things, well, first off, thank you. That's very nice of you. But if you're searching for other ways to help contribute to the stream, well, I've got one great idea. You can become a Galactic producer. By clicking this link in chat, you would get access to some super sweet space benefits. Like being able to hang out here at the pool with me. There's your kitty in the pool, that's right. We have a shark killing kitty guarding the pool. We have actually some very cool cats. Excuse the pun. Unintentional. Hanging out here at the Galactic pool. Anyway, grab yourself a snack, and I'll be right back. Did Gabby add something? Of course Gabby added something. I think Gabby was the first patron to add their benefit, or use their benefits. Ernest Borgnine, of course, sitting over here in the corner, just smiling, enjoying the pool. God, another kitty. Exactly, that's what I was saying. We got a lot of cool cats here hanging out by the Galactic pool. One cat just chilling by the speaker, bouncing to the music. One cat keeping the pool safe from sharks. And then, of course, Mrs. Cat, aka Mrs. Jen, and her cats. Gary snuck over to the right side of the bar. Because Gary is everywhere. Oh, I did forget to put Gary here, though. I'm going to put Gary at the lake as well. Because, of course, Gary is omnipotent. I feel much safer with this cat in the pool. I had my concerns about space sharks, but now we got security. Why is Thanos dancing and who is dancing next to him? It's great questions. Also a great observation. I gotta say, the cats in space seem to be bucking the supposed stereotype of cats not liking water. And as you can see, Mrs. Jen's cats are hanging out as well in the pool, next to her and Nadia. The danger of space sharks is truly, truly real. Do not discount them. It's a fool's errand. Alright, we are getting back to the stream. Calling all space fams. The Galactic stream is getting started right now. Secure a kitty. Where are we starting? Back up. That's right, the environment. Wait, is Latino Mufune in chat? I literally can't see them, and I'm on live chat. What does that even mean? Am I blocked by Latina Mufune? Hurtful. My own chat. Is that possible? Okay, what am I doing? Yes, the environment. Alright, let's start with this one. Global news from 8 hours ago in BC. Plainly stupid, quote unquote. BC mayor blasts partygoers after brush fire sparked by fireworks.
Illegal.
Jesus Christ.
Sirens sounding as first responders rushed to an out-of-control brush fire. It happened around 11 o'clock Friday night. Nanaimo Fire Rescue says there was a party of about 200 young people in Piper's Lagoon Park. Someone lit fireworks, igniting the dry grass.
That anyone, and I don't care how young you are, is setting off fireworks in one of our most beloved public parks, not accessible easily by firefighters, is just plainly stupid, and they should be ashamed of themselves and prosecuted accordingly.
From this witness video, you can hear how strong the wind was. Ocean breeze fanning the flames, the fast-moving fire prompting 4 engines and a wildland truck to respond. It took crews 6 hours.
Here's a fact you may or may not know, but I feel like a lot of people do know, especially in this chat. But a majority of wildfires are caused by human activity. Not just fireworks, of course. Other things are obviously in play. And it's made doubly so by human activity as it relates to the environment, right? So we make the environment more susceptible to wildfires, and then we do stupid things to cause them. Granted, sometimes wildfires are started by natural causes, such as lightning, which is the main natural cause. But I really need a sound shot, like a, what's his name? I wanted to call him Yogi Bear. Smokey the Bear sound shot. It's you who prevents forest fires.
To put the flames out.
You know, nice save on the firefighter guys and gals, and yeah, be careful, everyone. You know.
Yeah.
This was like
okay, that was.
but then I got like a.
That was maybe the most Canadian thing we've heard ever on this channel. That dude was too chill. Oh my god.
A couple more.
Discarded beer cans and cigarette butts. proof of a big party in the park.
I got so mad. I woke up with the news and I was just like so sad and mad because this is an endangered ecosystem. And yeah, I didn't know like the extent of the damage.
Scorched ground, evidence of how big the blaze was. It happened one day after Nanaimo's fire danger rating moved up to extreme. And the same day, a province-wide campfire ban took effect. Also,
wow. The same day, a province-wide, or whatever you said, ban happened, and they still decided, it's the time for fireworks. Interesting. I'd like to know the thought process behind that, although I do have a sneaking suspicion that there wasn't a lot of thought that went into it. Alright, now let's go south from British Columbia down here to King 5 Seattle. That's right, the Pacific Northwest. Yes, zombie fires can happen in the Pacific Northwest. King 5 Seattle here to tell us about what that means.
Under land that looks safe could be what scientists typically call a holdover or overwintering fire, what some media reports call zombie fires, and they can happen in the Pacific Northwest.
We had a really large wildfire north of Winthrop, and it burned all the way until rain and smoke put it out in the fall. And that next spring, there were many small fires throughout this 175,000 acre area.
The original fire spreads underground. While the above ground fire gets put out, the subsurface blaze continues to smolder below in colder months. As snow piles up above ground, it may reduce in size underground or grow. When wildfire conditions like hot air and heavy winds pick back up, the fire resurfaces above ground.
The fire will burn into deep organic layers. This could be actually buried root systems of a tree that are somewhat rotten and allow a fire to smolder, kind of low oxygen environment, but not go out. Or it could actually be the organic soil.
There are some ways.
So we've actually talked about this previously, not as it relates to the United States, because this doesn't happen in the United States all that much now. I emphasize the word now. But as you can see here, it is in fact happening in the Pacific Northwest. But the last time we were talking about this was relating to Canada, because of the way that the Canadian forests are. There is a lot of material, if you will, that gets buried by the snow that then just is left underneath the surface as essentially just sort of fuel for fires, right? To continue to have that what they need, right? Fuel and for whatever reason, I can't remember the exact reasoning, but something to do with the fact that the debris that falls to the ground traps pockets of air in different places, and that also helps to fuel the fires, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it's mostly in these sorts of like deciduous, like pine forests, but there's a bunch of those in the United States too. Thankfully, it's not prevalent among the entire country, but it is certainly something for us to be concerned about in the future and to be wary of. And yeah, this is why we need to fucking do some real work on lowering the temperature of our goddamn planet. How long can they smolder? Over the entire winter season, for sure. You know, and like they were saying in this video, like once the spring comes out, the snow melts and there's dry fuel on the surface, it can immediately resurface and create more forest fires. depending on the conditions, it can get out of control pretty quick, especially if people aren't aware of it. Because, I mean, think about the prospect of having to monitor such a situation, right? How do you even begin to monitor that, right? Because it's underground. So you can't just like fly, at least I don't think you can. Maybe you could if you had like, I'm trying to think, maybe like infrared, I don't know. Some kind of heat sensing technology attached to a drone. Maybe you could figure it out. But that would require so much effort to do. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but the logistics around it seem absolutely just monumental. Granted, I'm just a man floating in space, but that's my estimation of things. All right, let's go on to talking about the fire that's happening in the Pacific Northwest. Large fire near Tacoma, destroying vacant buildings. Wire the whole...
Overnight, Tacoma firefighters battled an intense fire just off the Theophos.
Wire the whole forest for monitoring. Wow. Oh my god, that sounds just... I know you didn't use an orange circle, but that feels like a Trump solution. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe we can wire the whole forest for monitoring. I've heard it works really good. My uncle was a scientist at MIT, so because of that, I know the best stuff and people about science.
Waterway. The call went out at about 1:30 this morning on Dock Street near East 15th Street. You can see these bright orange flames coming from the building in these photos from Tacoma Fire. Firefighters say the vacant building is a total loss. Right now, this is a live look at the scene where crews are staying so they can watch for hot spots and work on the investigation. You can see the building just gutted.
Oh,
Thankfully,
shit.
no one was hurt in this fire.
I'm so sorry. Good God, I'm an asshole. Hold on. I just realized I had it on the wrong screen that whole time. I'm such a dick. Thankfully, it's only 30 seconds.
Overnight, Tacoma firefighters battled an intense fire just off the Theophos waterway. The call went out at about 1:30 this morning on Dock Street near East 15th Street. You can see these bright orange flames coming from the building in these photos from Tacoma Fire. Firefighters say the vacant building is a total loss. Right now, this is a live look at the scene where crews are staying so they can watch for hot spots and work on the investigation. You can see the building just gutted. Thankfully,
the blaze has seemingly been contained at this point. That nobody was in that building when it burnt down. We do need Smokey the Bear. I just saw that comment on Twitch. Omega is right. Where is Smokey when we need him? How are we doing on likes, by the way? I feel like we got a lot. 36. Okay, we're close to 40. Okie dokie. Let's go to the Midwest. Kinda. One county in Colorado says investment in fire suppression helicopter was definitely worth it. CBS Colorado from 13 hours ago. Let's see.
And new at 10, it has certainly been a busy weekend for Douglas County fire crews. In addition to helping get the Arapahoe County brush fire under control, the agency's helicopter responded to a number of calls this weekend, including a plane's emergency landing. Olivia Young is your reporter in Douglas County. And Olivia, I know you met with fire officials there in Douglas County, and really their resources are proving really invaluable for the entire metro area.
They absolutely are, Kelly. They also responded to 3 smoke checks yesterday alone, and we got to watch the Helitac team working at responding to a simulated fire and learn more about their approach, which is a combination of aerial and ground firefighting. When a wildfire sparks, every second counts.
We just arrived on scene. I got eyes on the fire. We're going to try to anchor in at the heel and go up the right flank. If you can just have the helicopter drop on the left flank.
It's why Douglas County has invested over $2.7 million this year alone in a wildfire suppression helicopter and 10-person team.
Okay, I'm clear now for the line and you're clear to drop.
An investment county leaders say is well worth it to protect lives and homes.
The threat of wildfire danger is the #1 potential threat affecting our county. 1 square mile in Douglas County represents about $111 million of property values.
The county contracts the helicopter from TransAero Ltd. with exclusive use from June through October and the option to extend.
For Douglas County, for the situation we face here with rapidly moving grass, brush, and timber fires, there really is no better rapid response to that type of fire than a helitack program.
The helicopter can carry over 300 gallons of water and a team of firefighting hand crews.
So those are hand crew specialists that use chainsaws, hand tools, backpacks, water to access difficult to get to fires. Aviation slows fires down, firefighters put it out.
The aerial team trains constantly to be ready at a moment's notice. And this fire season has already been a busy one.
It's not just a fire season anymore, it really is a fire year.
Now,
oh God, I hate that. I hate what he just said. And, you know, I think somebody in chat had said that recently. It made me very sad. Ugh. For firefighters to be saying it's no longer fire season, but it's fire year, just means we're living in a state of perpetual fire, which you may or may not be getting the same sense I am, but it does sound real bad. And considering what we were just talking about 2 videos back regarding the underground zombie fires, it really is. Those posts are really lining up, and I'm not a fan at all. Okay, let's talk about the heat more generally. Let's go east. CBS News from 7 hours ago, where brutal heat is continuing in the eastern United States now. Well, we were talking for weeks about how the West was getting pummeled by blistering heat. Well, brace yourselves, Easterners, because we're about to get hit too.
Another round of dangerous heat is moving into the eastern part of the U.S. It will feel well above 100 degrees in many areas.
Ew.
36 million Americans could see triple-digit temperatures, and some places are set to break new record highs, including in Richmond, Virginia, and Raleigh, North Carolina. CBS News Baltimore's Miana Massey joins us now from the Charm City. So I just looked it up, 96 degrees already where you are. What has been the impact?
I know this is a bad pun, but more like Charred City. Sorry, that was bad.
Yes, Lindsay, for sure. So 96 degrees, but it feels even higher in those triple digits. And I mean, we're less than a month into summer, and already it has been a hot one. So here in Baltimore City, where we are, we see we're at a pool. We're at Druid Hill Park, where people are cooling off. But officials here in the city have declared a code red alert. And really what that means is that pools are going to be open for increased hours. They also have cooling centers open, and people just are encouraged to take increased precautions. So that's not being out in the heat of the sun like this one. That's making sure to stay hydrated, to check on your neighbors and pets, and just to keep yourself from any heat-related illnesses. So checking to see if you're feeling dizzy, lightheaded, confusion, all signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And so we're seeing people take those precautions, take heed. The code red alert will be going until Wednesday. And so
Gabby. Oh no, that one hurts. That one hurts real deep. Oh God, so true. Try not to be homeless. 'Cause yeah, no kidding. If you happen to be an unhoused person, it's gonna be a lot harder to stay out of the heat. Just gonna point that out. Oh, good point, Bob. It's illegal to be homeless. So doesn't that mean there's no homeless people? I don't know how. I don't know how that works. It's all very confusing to me. It's all new ever since the Supreme Court decided that being a human without enough money is just a crime.
Temperatures, as we said, feeling into the triple digits here in Baltimore.
Of course, when you go to the coffee shop, when you go run any errand, when things are hot, that's what people talk about. What are you hearing from folks who are having to...
Oh my God, I forgot. Gabby, you've been away for a little while. Recently, as Bob is alluding to, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled 6-3 that homeless people could be considered criminal just for being homeless. Oh, you're referring to the 100 degrees in Philly. Yeah, well, then yes, that's true. Not just according to Bob, but that map we were just looking at.
Brave all this.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, we actually just came from a nursery and a landscaping company here in Baltimore just to see how they are faring. And I mean, just like plants, I mean, we're seeing younger people that need to take precautions, older people, pets. And really what they're doing is making sure that they are staying hydrated. So that's the big...
So hot right now. So true, Megastar.
That's hot.
Thank you for the hydrate. Just talking about all this heat is making me dehydrated. But, yeah, it's a little frustrating that we're looking at record highs in multiple places in terms of heat literally every single day on this stream. I don't think that it doesn't feel like we ever go a day on this stream where we don't talk about a record high heat somewhere, a record flood, some kind of a record weather. And it is an incredibly bad sign, sort of a omen of what may be to come if we don't get our fucking acts together as it relates to stewarding the earth which we live on. Well, if you're in the east, prepare yourselves for that, as it is incoming. Yeah, and they actually said Tuesday, which is, if you're on the East Coast, now. Starting now. Alright, let's go to a place on the East Coast, New York City, where NYC is installing a new kind of pavement in parts of Brooklyn to prevent flooding during storms. Ooh, something constructive. Let's do that.
The city's installing a whole new kind of pavement in parts of Brooklyn meant to prevent flooding during storms. CBS 2's Hannah Klieger's in Borough Park to show us how it works.
It might not look like much if you're driving by, but the city's Department of Environmental Protection says this narrow stretch of porous pavement on 37th Street can make a big difference to prevent flooding.
A lot of our thinking has been about...
I can't wait for Lauren Boebert to attempt to what's it called? Contest the constitutionality of this porous pavement, as it was put there by the EPA. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh no.
Illegal. How do we divert rainwater away from sewers? We've been working on this, in fact, for well over a decade.
Officials demonstrated how the slabs of roadway can absorb water during heavy rainfall, allowing it to drain through.
Roadways, as you know, are...
This is actually super cool. Like, this is awesome.
With a crown. This area in the middle where we're standing is higher, so we don't need porous pavement everywhere. We need it on the sides because the water will naturally drain to the side, and that's where it'll sink in.
Joseph Stern.
Although I'm gonna amend that statement. It's awesome that we're doing something to prevent not prevent catastrophes, but prevent the effects of weather catastrophes. It'd be nice if we did something proactively to stop the bad weather things from happening. Granted, we can't do that entirely, even if we do everything we talk about here, like cutting out fossil fuels and switching entirely to renewables and things like that. We'll still have storms, of course, so it is a good thing for the city. It would be great if we didn't have to do stuff like this to prepare ourselves for eventual disaster. So I'm split. Like, I'm glad it's happening, right? Like, it's an awesome technology. I wish we would put the same level of thought into some of the systems that we are currently using that are contributing to the sort of events that these sidewalks are, or not well, I guess they're sidewalks, whatever they're called. The necessity of having them, but maybe that's just me being a little too optimistic, I guess. Okay. But yeah, no, it's definitely constructive, and I hope that other places, not just Brooklyn, you know, hopefully some impoverished areas as well, although Brooklyn does have some poverty as well. I guess, like, my point is like, I hope that, you know, all places that have sort of flooding issues get similar treatment across the board, although I fear tax dollars will be the main contributing factor, or lack thereof, in getting this stuff done. Joni Mitchell. Somebody just say, what did she say? Joni Mitchell? Why are we talking about Joni? AC is incredible. Don't feel bad for having AC. You deserve it. Okay, one more story in New York, discussing the beaches. Shark sightings, riptides among safety concerns at the beach this summer. This is from Eyewitness ABC from 4 hours ago.
The shark sightings in our area that started over the weekend continue tonight. Swimming currently not allowed at Lido Beach because of the sighting of a 7-foot shark at Town Park. The town of Hempstead in Long Island Shark Patrol is currently tracking that shark, and swimming will not be allowed until further notice. Not exactly what swimmers want to hear on this hugely hot, muggy day like this one. With the latest, here's Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon.
There's nothing like swimming in the ocean.
You can go to the pool all you want, but it's not the same as like feeling the salt air and the salt water and just feeling the waves and feeling just buoyant and free.
Nature.
This family arrived looking forward to the cool waves on this hot beach day, a day that happened to follow a record weekend for Town of Hempstead lifeguards. They made 250 saves in the water. A warmer ocean means rougher surf. When they're not making real rescues, they're practicing. And they're trained in spotting rip currents.
All the water comes on shore and funnels to one spot. So throughout the day, we'll notice a pattern, but if we see people in a rip, like right now over here, I don't know if you can tell, there's some young children, like we're gonna move them and we'll blow a whistle.
We're gonna move them.
That's the signal for getting to a...
The level of seriousness this guy took with it. Oh my god. First off, rip currents are incredibly dangerous, okay? The fact that this man is taking an interview right now while he's pointing out children in a rip current or near a rip current is, I think, textbook negligence, okay? And the fact is, you know, I think a lot of people just sort of underestimate what rip currents do, but that shit'll kill a grown man, depending on how powerful that current happens to be.
We're gonna move them and we'll blow a whistle.
That's the signal for getting to a safer spot. These safe swimmers know the drill.
Don't go too deep. Be careful of your surroundings. Listen as much as you can, because if you do hear someone scream shark, you would want to run.
That's right. 2 sharks were spotted nearby over the weekend. Drones in the air are on the lookout for them and are taking video from above. The lifeguards are also on jet skis they call Shark Patrol and are trained in spotting them from the shore.
So the lifeguards are almost on double duty now. Some are sitting in stands and some are, just looking at the water for any kind of breaking of a dorsal fin out there.
Are you worried about sharks?
Always. If I can't see my feet, I'm scared that something's gonna eat me.
If I can't see my feet, I'm scared something's gonna eat me. Hilarious. Hilarious. At least he's still enjoying the beach regardless. See that person drowning? We would be swimming out to them to save them right now, but this interview takes precedence. Well played. Well played. Okay. Where to next? Oh god, I totally forgot to update that. I should have done that today. Son of a bitch. That's what happens when I try and do 2 streams in one day. I forget my responsibilities. Good job, me. Good job. Whatever. Okay. Let's go to this from Eyewitness News ABC 7. This is our segue into the global news. Space news. New moon cave discovery could be shelter for future expeditions. Oh shit. Wait, wait, what? Oh my god, I just got... Well, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, chat. Everybody just rewind. Forget everything I've just said. Because I just looked at 2 different videos and thought they were the same video. Because... Holy fuck, geez, the thumbnails look similar. It happens to me like once a week at least, where there's 2 videos with like the exact same fucking thumbnail, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is where I'm at, and I scroll down and I'm like, wait, that's like 10 videos past where I'm at. Okay, sorry for debating you, chat. Not yet. No space news yet. We've got other things to talk about. This is in Canada. Let's go a little bit north to Montreal. What's this black oily stuff in the water off of Montreal's East End? CBC News to tell us more.
I'm in Pointe-aux-Trembles, where crews are cleaning up the black sludge that's been spotted in the water. It's been a cause for concern, and people have been posting about it on social media. So what is it, and where did it come from?
He sampled the substance.
The Environment Ministry says tests have confirmed it is motor oil, but so far they haven't found the source, and it's unclear how far the spill may have traveled. The Canadian Coast Guard, who's now responsible for the operation, says it used drones and helicopters to locate the spill. It says cleanup is underway.
We got more than 3,000 liters of a mix of water and pollutant. We want to minimize the impact on the habitat, on birds, and on the municipalities that take water sometimes from specific areas.
It's also trying to identify the source of the pollution and says all hypotheses are on the table. It says the contaminated area stretches between 13th Avenue, Tricentenaire Avenue, and the marina. About 40 to 50 boats here at the marina are affected by the spill. The marina's owner says in 40 years, he's never seen anything like it, and it's hurting his business. The Coast Guard has banned the use of boats in the area to prevent further contamination.
Why aren't they actually... They're not translating what these people are saying. I'm just going to point this out, because... French is the only language that I speak competently enough to know such a thing, but they're just kind of going into their own thing. It's a strange way of doing the news, but okay. It was from Rudy's head. You think Rudy went to the St. Lawrence to go swimming? That could be an explanation. It would make sense. Okay, let's go to this. Oh, we have to cross the ocean and go to Africa, right? Is this Africa? Yes, let's go to Africa first. Oh, to a nation that really didn't need any more problems. Let's be real. Let's be really, really real. Floods tear through Delta in eastern Sudan. Thousands already in need of aid. Well, really millions, but in particular, just relating to this particular flood. Whoops, not what I meant to do.
Without a single drop of rain falling here, the river Gash has surprised everyone.
Hold. Please hold. Oh, God. Why did I do that? If I misclick on my software and do something even slightly awry, all pandemonium breaks loose. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry, chat. I'm gonna give you music. I need to pee real quick. Just give you something to listen to momentarily, and I'll be right back. Hopefully my stream software decides to catch up by the time I'm back. Yay! It's caught up, bish. What is this? What is this nonsense? Okay, just work though. I see that you caught up to me now, but you're doing weird things. It's unappreciated.
Illegal. Don't be creepy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
There we go. Okay. Hold on. Back to Sudan, where people who genuinely didn't need any more problems now have, well, just that.
Without a single drop of rain falling here, the river Gash has surprised everyone. Heavy rains in Eritrea from where it flows have caused it to burst its banks hundreds of kilometers away. The town of Aroma sits in the river's delta, some 60 kilometers north of the city of Kassala.
What happened was that the water arrived at 1 o'clock in the morning when people were asleep. It wasn't raining, it's the Gash. And when it comes, the Gash takes away with it everything, people, animals, and crops, due to the high level of its water.
Small villages in the delta, hemmed in by thick mesquite bushes, were the first to suffer. 4 villages are still cut off. These women have decided to take the risk. They need to go to town and look for help for their families.
Everyone there is tired. 4 villages inside the waters. The people in there are no man to leave. They need tents, food, and just about everything else. And they need it urgently.
Even those living on higher ground are affected. The water swept across a section of Aroma town where most families live in mud houses. They've seen their homes washed away by flood water. What children may find to be a source of fun is raising fears of waterborne diseases. Some of the families that have managed to escape are now living here in these little shelters of stick and straw. Their property, their farming land, as well as their homes have all been submerged. Local authorities believe that between 5,000 and 6,000 people have been affected, and they're afraid this might only be the beginning.
This is horrible. And what's just eminently, well, I feel like irony is not even the right word to use, but certainly a synonym for what's happening here. There's a word for, I need a dictionary in front of me at all times so I can remember words. Point is, Sudan has been dealing with a fucking drought, which has been hurting their ability to grow crops to some degree, or at least has severely diminished their abilities to grow crops. So they've needed water real bad, but what they didn't need was so much water that it fucking washed away their goddamn homes, right? So, you know, it's like, goddamn, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for what we're talking about here, but it's just, it is a tragedy, right? That these people are being, like, having their lives destroyed by something that they technically needed, right? Because it just came all too much at once. That is the state of our fucking climate and our environment, right? It's not normal expected rains, it's sudden, massive rains, and then it just, oh god, it's just, and we all know what's been, I think we all know what's been happening in Sudan with regards to the ethnic cleansings and the current war that's going on there as well. Among other problems, the mass starvation. Last time we checked, there was, how many was it? 15 million people in dire straits as it relates to food. It was some massive number. I cannot remember the number, but it was genuinely appalling. I'm sure that is not getting any better right now, because no humanitarian organizations are really bringing food in right now. The Western media is essentially not in Sudan at all right now because too hard or whatever. I have no idea why they're not there, but whatever. Let's go to a positive story to try and uplift our spirits. 10 hours ago from Associated Press. Baby sea turtles released from southern Lebanon into the Mediterranean Sea as hatching season starts. By the way, I'm just going to say this, because I believe that there might be a person in chat who is become a patron in the last couple of weeks or so, but has not yet used their Patreon benefits, which they are currently deserving of for having become a patron. So if that describes you, check the Patreon app and check your messages on said app to make sure that you've done everything to get access to those sweet, sweet space benefits.
اللي اطلقناهم اليوم هن 16 سلحفه من نوع كاريتا ضخمه الراس بلبنان بيعيش نوعين من السلاحف وبيعيش.
Sorry, I should have been faster. Today we released 6. I'm also. Why do I suck? I am on the wrong screen because I was too busy talking about base benefits. Silly me. 204 subs, only 296 left to get to YouTube monetization. So true. So true. We are on the road.
بسم الله عم انرجي منيح بلا عم يحركوا كنا نايمين لا الزيت
They're so cute.
اللي أطلقناهم اليوم
Today,
هن
we
16
released 16
سلحفة من نوع
caretta
كاريتا ضخمة الرأس. بلبنان بعيش نوعين من السلاحف وبعششوا هن ضخمة الرأس والجرين الخضراء. الخضراء هي المهددة بالانقراض.
The green turtle is endangered.
كتار اليوم بيقولوا لنا شو عم تطلعوا تعملوا على المنصورة وما بتخافوا من القصف والاستهدافات اللي عم بتصير. اليوم نحن كناشطين بيئيين ما فينا نتخلى بحرب او بدون حرب بدنا نكفي شغلنا. هيدي مسؤولية وهيدي التزام والبيئة منا طرف.
Now, I gotta say, that right there, that woman is a true environmentalist. I mean, good God. In the middle of Israel's assault on Lebanon, and she's like, no, turtles come first. Just wow. Just wow. That's dedication right there. Okay, let's watch one more constructive story. Can't be all doom and gloom here. Let's look at this. Not just bikes from a day ago. The secret to Japan's great cities. Now that sounds promising.
There's a meme among urbanists that you're either radicalized by Tokyo or by Amsterdam. Today, I live in Amsterdam, but I visited Tokyo first, which is probably why I'm not just bikes. Now, there's good reason for this. Japanese cities are incredible. They're famous for having high-quality mixed-use neighborhoods, vibrant public spaces, great land use, a wide range of housing options, tiny cars, highly efficient public transportation, and a beautiful mix of the modern and the traditional. All of these things are important, and I'll talk about them in a moment, but I think there's one aspect that is often overlooked, or at least...
I really wished things in America looked more like that. Walkable, accessible. Oh, boy.
...crossed over. This kind of street, found all over Japan. These streets may not look like much at first glance, but the more you look, the more you uncover, and while there are many factors that make Japanese cities so good, they're all tied together by these great streets. This is a typical Japanese street. The width can vary, but an average street like this one is about 5 meters wide, building to building. These kind of narrow Japanese streets might be synonymous with busy urban areas in Tokyo or traditional cities bustling with tourists. But streets like these are found all over Japan, in cities, towns, and suburbs of all sizes. Some of these narrow streets are covered with a roof to protect people from the rain. This might look like a shopping mall, but it's really a street with a roof in the middle of a walkable urban neighborhood. This is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Tokyo, but despite having only large single-family homes, the street still has exactly the same narrow design. On a street like this, it feels perfectly natural to walk right down the middle of it, which is so much better than being constrained to a tiny sidewalk. This makes these streets very comfortable for people walking, which should ultimately be the single most important aspect in the design of any city, how easy and comfortable it is to walk there. This is a suburban neighborhood. But because the street is narrow and there's good use of space, it means that even people living in suburban single-family homes can be within easy walking distance of a train.
There's something about all this that gives me, brings like this sense of like comfort and like human centricity, if you will. Like it really does. Like I know I already said it, but goddamn, I really wish that America could be even kind of like this. The fact is, we have completely planned everything around cars and not people. So instead of enjoying, our environment, we're like, whizzing past it or essentially at odds with it to some degree.
Station, as well as many other amenities such as shops and restaurants. This is critically important for any human-scale livable city, and what makes that possible is a sensible approach to zoning, the rules that every city has that determine what type of buildings can be built in a given area. Japanese zoning is specified at a national level, and while local governments do have some control over their local developments, the end result is a zoning code that is very permissible compared to most other countries. The Japanese zoning code is made up of a series.
So this is, I think, a good place here for us to pause, right? Because this is absolutely something that we need to talk about. Because zoning is determined in the United States on a very different level. It has pretty much nothing to do with the federal government. It all has to do with, like, local municipalities deciding these sorts of things, right? And, it would be nice if we had some sort of structure in which to get these things happening more and more in our society, rather than continuing with the same that we have been for so long that is causing us so many problems. Maybe we need federal regulations on this so we don't have to deal with the NIMBY types or whatever else who want things to be a particular way, in a way that suits just them or small groups of people rather than society at large. Hold on. Let's move on to a different spot. Let's go here, yeah.
Of course, people will only feel comfortable walking in the middle of the street if car speeds are low, and one of the most effective ways to slow down cars is to narrow the street. On streets that are too wide, a common tactic is to place things in the roadway to purposefully reduce the width of the driving area, because drivers will instinctively drive slower when the street is narrowed. Japanese streets accomplish this by simply making the street itself as narrow as possible. Many of these narrow streets are one way for cars, but others have traffic in both directions, and that makes drivers slow down even more, as they may need to react to oncoming traffic on a narrow street. The speed limit on these streets is never more than 30 kilometers per hour, and on a street this narrow, that feels like the right speed to be driving. Slower speeds make the streets safer for everyone because slower cars are safer cars, and slower speeds gives everybody more time to react, making crashes less likely to happen. I talked about this before in my video about why 30 kilometers per hour is the correct speed limit for cities. Slower car speeds also result in much less noise from motor vehicles, which makes these streets remarkably quiet for being in such a bustling urban environment. In order for these streets to work, though, car volumes also need to be low. This street in Kyoto is an example of how things can go horribly wrong if cars are not restricted. This is a mess. Hundreds of people are pushed to the very edges of the street by a few dozen drivers. Thankfully, most Japanese streets are not like this. Through traffic is avoided by making some of these narrow streets one-way to car traffic, and neighborhoods are designed to prevent cars from driving through. This means that the only cars on these streets will be local traffic, with a destination somewhere in the neighborhood. This is exactly the same method used in most of the Netherlands to reduce car traffic in residential neighborhoods as well. Fundamentally, through traffic kills neighborhoods, so the only people who should be driving in a neighborhood are those who are coming to or going from one of the destinations in that neighborhood. With this kind of street design, traffic is pushed to the wider roads, which keeps the narrow streets safer and more convenient for everyone else. Of course, because of their wide width, these roads can feel very barren and uncomfortable to anyone walking, and there is always a metal railing preventing people from crossing the road mid-block, which can make for some very crowded sidewalks that are not exactly ideal. The best roads are the ones that have a line of trees as the buffer and a wide sidewalk like this. This makes the sidewalk feel like one of those narrow Japanese streets, just with a line of trees on one side instead of a building. In other places, the wide roads can be avoided by using pedestrian bridges like this one. Now, I don't really like pedestrian bridges because they are almost always built to speed up car traffic for the benefit of drivers rather than for the convenience for people walking. And
that is a fucking Ferrari right there. Just noticed that. Okay. Japan usually designs things well. That is true. That is true to some degree. Although I wouldn't look too hard at the Japanese judicial system if you want to talk about design. But no, absolutely, as it comes to the cities and other sorts of things like that, absolutely. Okay. All right, let's go to this. This is a sort of unfortunate story. Sorry to end it on this. This is south of Japan. Actually, is there anything else I want to watch from this? I remember. Actually, I think there was one other spot. I just can't remember what it was. What was it? We'll just watch the tiny more snippet, and then we'll go to that last one. Okay. Go.
This is ultimately the reality of Japan. They have some exceptionally good public transit and exceptionally good land use to go with it. Neighborhoods that are lively and have a strong sense of place, where small independent businesses can thrive, and they have some of the best urbanism in the world. And it's all tied together by these great narrow streets. But at the same time, they have a highly influential automobile industry, and many remote locations are very car-centric and inaccessible by public transit, which puts pressure on urban areas to build more and wider roads, more car-centric infrastructure, and to surrender more valuable urban land for car parking.
Don't do it, Japan.
You may have heard that Japan's population is shrinking, and many of the smaller towns and villages are losing people. But the population of Tokyo is actually growing as more young people move into the city, and the national government has been taking steps to gradually increase immigration. So now is the time to build for those people, to convert asphalt to trees, to make it easier to get between neighborhoods without crossing 8 lanes of car traffic, and to make it safer and easier to ride a bicycle. And to ultimately make Japanese cities some of the most desirable and livable cities in the world. But none of that will happen if they keep bulldozing great neighborhoods to build more roads. We all want to make a positive difference in the world, and your career is one of the best ways to do that. If you work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year for 40 years, that's 80,000 hours and a massive opportunity to make an impact.
Okay. So yeah, even Japan is trying to fight against capitalist forces to some degree in terms of city planning. But they certainly have been doing a better job than the United States for quite some time as it relates to that. Alright, last environmental story to talk about. This is from the Associated Press from 15 hours ago down in New Zealand, where the world's rarest whale was found on a beach. So yeah, yeah, they are picking this whale up to take it to a lab to attempt to gain more sort of understanding of the species, as it is such a rare whale. Unfortunately, it is absolutely dead. There is no explanation given for what happened, which is what we usually see with these sorts of beachings, at least as it relates to the like the way these stories are presented. Never any real explanations for things. Although, one thing we have been seeing is a lot of rare species washing up on beaches all across the world, from one coast to the next. There has been some evidence that perhaps it's related to toxic algae levels in the water. Perhaps the lack of food is also contributing. It's hard to say for sure, because there are so many fucking fucked up things we're doing to the ocean. Yeah. Alright. What do I have left? Do I take another space break? I think we're fine, right? Do we need another space break? I feel like we're fine. I feel like we can get through the rest of this. There's not much left to do here. Already been going for 3 hours. Alright, let's go. To London. Wait, no, not London. Sorry. I almost forgot. Space. We have to go to space first. Eyewitness news. New moon cave discovery could be shelter for future expeditions. Think about building a condo over there.
Another interstellar discovery by NASA. This is amazing. A cave on the moon that could house future astronauts, and there could be hundreds more of these caves. Cave is the deepest known pit on the moon. It's about 250 miles from where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed 55 years ago this month. Scientists speculated that lunar caves existed for decades, but not a proven fact. But boy, it doesn't have to be at this point, because it's just sort of mouth-watering, right, Lee?
You said it. Speaking of water, I mean...
Mouth-watering? No, I don't think so. I never heard anybody refer to a crater as mouth-watering, and I don't think there was any precedent to do so. Very strange. Very strange way to put it. Not gonna lie. You've heard that there's an island of plastic in the... Oh, there's absolutely an island of plastic in the fucking ocean. That is, I thought, such a widely known fact that we almost never talk about it. Oh, God. But yeah, let's switch to glass instead of plastic with all of our bottles, please. That would have a huge impact on that. Not necessarily a total impact, but it would certainly help stop with the contributions to said floating island of plastic. There's my drink. There it is. Ah, another hydration. Thank you for keeping me hydrated over there. Okay. Now let's go to global news. First, let's start with a slightly happy story. I don't know. I'm just... It's been a tough week already. It's only Tuesday. We hit 40 likes. No, we didn't get a new fucking... No, we didn't. I had no idea. Dang it. Okay, yes. I will try and make that happen, although we are getting to that time in our stream when my software decides that it doesn't want to help us with that, but I will try.
On a dead-end road in the London borough of Islington, Tim Bush is trimming his hedge.
16.
Nothing out of the ordinary until you take a step back.
Was this the first one, the original?
This is the original one, yeah. This came about, Philip and my wife used to sit in the living room and look out through the window here and demanded that I cut a cat.
She got this train instead. That was more than 15 years ago, soon after he decided to help his neighbor who struggled to trim his hedge across the road. It was Philippa's idea.
So then I gave her the cat that she'd asked for the first time.
Philippa and Tim met when they were teenagers in art college. They were together 47 years before she died of breast cancer.
She died about 7 years ago. Sorry.
Boy. It's a beautiful way to honor her, though, because it's her idea.
No, it is her legacy, yeah.
This father of three has since transformed hedges near his home into elephants, fish. There's even a Henry Moore reclining nude. It's in front of Polly Barker's house. She's in the choir with Tim.
I was slightly worried whether the neighbours might be offended because she's quite, full on. But they haven't complained. We're a tourist attraction on Google Maps now.
The hedges aren't just tourist attractions. With each commission, this architect raises money for various environmental causes. At first, he raised money for the organization that looks after his sister.
My young sister's got Down syndrome, so I raised about 10,000.
This isn't gardening, he says, it's sculpting. His wife Philippa was also an artist, and he says she would have been fascinated by how the hedges have taken off.
Do you think you'll keep going?
Till I fall off my ladder, I think.
He likes the end result, and that it makes people smile. Leah Mishkin, CBS News, London.
I just thought it was sort of a touching story. And we have too many just sort of heart-rending and or breaking types of stories. I've just been trying to pepper in more stuff like that from time to time. Don't worry, we'll be getting to those practically immediately. Okay. Well, maybe not immediately, but it'll certainly happen. All right, let's go to the French elections. Will the left-wing coalition finally agree on a prime minister? This is Euronews from 9 hours ago.
Will the left-wing coalition, the New Popular Front, or the NFP, that won the most seats during France's legislative elections, finally agree on a name for the future prime minister? The alliance, composed of the hard-left France Unbowed or LFI party, the Socialists, the Greens, as well as the Communists, has been squabbling over who to present as candidate to lead the future French government. On Monday afternoon, the France Unbowed, the hard left party from the alliance, said that they will be suspending all discussions, blaming the Socialist Party for sabotaging the negotiations. This comes after the Socialists vetoed on Saturday the candidacy for Prime Minister of the former MP Huguette Bello, who had overwhelming support from the France Unbowed as well as the Communist Party. And the first public session of the French National Assembly, that's the lower house of French Parliament, is supposed to be held on Thursday. So the left-wing coalition is really hoping to find a candidate before this date. And in this tense political climate, this Monday morning, the Court of Auditors presented its annual report on France's public finances. And the report of this country's budget watchdog describes the situation as worrying due to the fact that there was the COVID-19 pandemic as well as extremely high inflation. And the Court of Auditors warns the French government that the situation could further worsen due to the unstable political climate that.
Okay. So yeah, we've been talking about the French elections ever since the snap elections were called by Emmanuel Macron. His gamble did not pay off for his centrist party. The left coalition, the New Popular Front, wound up taking the most votes in said snap election. And just in case you're confused, there's both a prime minister and a president in French politics. So the president has the most power, but the majority party, or like yeah, I think that's how it works. The majority party in the legislature also has a prime minister who has power as it relates to the legislature itself. And they are trying to figure out who will be the next prime minister. They are in the process of deciding. And I'll try and keep you up to date once they do make that decision. We have talked about a number of the different people who could have been elected aside from her, like Mélenchon. we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, honestly. I don't know. I can't guess. Okay, let's talk about another election. Let's go to Al Jazeera to talk about that. This is from 19 hours ago, where polls open across Rwanda as their president, Paul Kagame, seeks a 4th term in office.
Polls have opened in Rwanda for presidential and parliamentary elections. President Paul Kagame is running against 2 rivals, including an independent, while 2 other opponents were barred from contesting. Kagame, who's been in office for 24 years, is seeking a 4th term. The state of the economy and security is some of the major issues weighing on voters' minds. Well, there are more than 9 million people eligible to vote in the 3-day poll. They'll elect a president and 80 members of parliament. A constitutional amendment passed in 2015 has allowed President Paul Kagame to bypass the consecutive 2-term limit and run for 2 additional 5-year terms. He's led Rwanda since the end of the 1994 genocide, often winning more than 90% of the vote. Well, in this year's World Press Freedom Index, Rwanda ranked 144 out of 180 countries.
It's not great.
The report indicates decades of repression have significantly weakened the nation's media landscape. The other 2 candidates are Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party and independent Philippe Mpayimana. Both had to be approved by the Electoral Commission. OK, well, let's bring in...
So yeah, that little tidbit right there is a part of the problem as it relates to Rwanda's democracy, right? As it is currently, all candidates have to be approved by the government before they can even run for government. And so yeah, I think that presents a lot of problems or sort of roadblocks in having a fair a fair and free election, but that's just my opinion, I suppose. Oh god, my stream software is going rogue. All right, back to this. There we go.
Ingabire Umuhoza. She's a Rwandan politician and the chairperson of the new political party Development and Liberty for All. She joins us from Kigali. A very warm welcome to Al Jazeera. So looking specifically about how this election pans out, I mean, this is an election where the chief candidate has been in power for 24 years. Opposition contenders have either had to be officially approved or they've been barred from running altogether. I mean, how would you describe the health of democracy there in Rwanda?
Thank you for having me. The election where the best candidate who can challenge the President Kagame are banned raises seriously concern about democracy and the fair representation and genuine competition. So we have election today, but that diminish the legitimacy of democracy in our country.
And you specifically, I understand, were banned from by the Electoral Commission to stand in these elections. Were you given any particular reason for that?
Yes, for example, in my case, as you know, the first time I wanted to participate in the presidential election was in 2010, when I come back from exile. And a few months, I was arrested and I was involved in the politician judicial. And I spent 8 years in prison. But when I released, according to organic law, in Rwanda, if you spend more than 6 years in the prison, but you are released 5 years after, you can ask to be rehabilitated, that you can recover your political right. What I did, but the court refused my application on the basis that I was pardoned. I get a pardon from the President Kagame. And the other example is that Diane Rwigara, Mrs. Diane Rwigara, she wanted to participate in the election 2017. She was also arrested. She spent 1 year in prison. And this year, she tried again to participate, but the Electoral Commission banned her. This is why I say the best candidate who can really challenge the President Kagame were banned to participate in these elections.
Yeah, so that does not bode well for Rwanda. Which is, I mean, maybe not fresh off of a genocide, but very recently having dealt with that. You would think they'd be attempting to be a bit more free and fair, but I guess baby steps? I don't know. Either way, it's been a lot going on over there in Rwanda. We need more presidential job qualifications that should be more than being older than 35 and breathing. Okay, I see what you're saying. Any particulars you have in mind? Hey. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. This isn't current news. This is, what do you call it? A historical perspective, as today, well, yesterday technically, July 15th was the anniversary of a coup attempt in Turkey. And I figured we'd watch this video to see some of the details on how that unfolded, although it is from TRT World, so I would point out there may be some amount of bias involved.
On July 15, 2016, a rogue faction within the military unsuccessfully attempted to overthrow Turkey's democratically elected government. Here's what happened. At 10 p.m., things just didn't seem right in Istanbul and Ankara. People began to notice the sounds of jets and gunfire. Low-flying fighter jets were seen in the skies. Putschist soldiers blocked roads and bridges with tanks, preventing vehicles from traveling. People began to realize something was up. Soon after, military helicopters and jets, seized by rogue soldiers, began indiscriminately firing on people and targeting state buildings. Several government headquarters were bombed or raided by coup plotters, including media outlets, which were forced off air in a violent assault on democracy. Everyone was impatiently anticipating an official statement by the government on what was happening. At about 11:30 p.m., the Turkish PM at the time, Binali Yildirim, announced a certain rogue group within the military was attempting to overthrow the government.
Those who are involved in this illegal act will pay the highest price. Such attempts will not be allowed.
He called the attempt illegal and said those involved would be gravely punished. Meanwhile, the Turkish armed forces announced it didn't support the coup attempt. At 12:13 a.m., Putschist then used the country's public broadcaster TRT to announce martial law and a curfew, claiming the political administration has lost all legitimacy and has been forced to withdraw. At 12:30 a.m., President Recep Tayyip Erdogan addressed Turkey on CNN Turk using FaceTime and urged everyone to take to the squares to protest the coup attempt, stating, "There is no power higher than the power of the people. Go to the squares and give them their answer." Throughout the night, the selahs were repeatedly called from mosques across Turkey, encouraging people to gather and resist the coup.
Okay, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with Turkey and some of the problems there, perhaps. Erdogan, while he does in fact have some good policies, I'm not gonna lie, there have been some things he's chosen to do in Turkey that are probably good for Turkish people, but he does also have some real problems as it relates to democracy. I mean, right now I think he's been in power for 22 years himself. Feeling some parallels coming from Rwanda right now. But he's also rolled back a lot of like democratic sort of what do you call it, like law or like rules and regulations and things like that, and sort of also tamped down on political protests against him and his government to some degree, and so, you know, it just, I think it's important to remember in context with this situation. I mean, it's still fucked. I'm not a fan of military coups. I think everybody here knows that. So I'm not suggesting in any way that the coup was had like legitimacy or anything nonsensical like that. But just pointing out that Erdogan's government does in fact have its problems. Okay, maybe pass a competency test, test world affairs, basic understanding of how the economy works, college education, preferable law degree, or economics. I don't know what else to suggest. Those are some interesting ideas. Calibrating. Will we miss you? What does that mean? Are you going somewhere? What are we talking about? Alright, let's go to this. In Hungary, Budapest denies its newly formed Sovereignty Protection Office is intimidating civil society. This is from 16 hours ago.
Hungary has been accused of trying to intimidate civil society by launching an investigation into Transparency International, the NGO working to end corruption worldwide. A newly formed body by the Hungarian government named the Sovereign Protection Office sent a 6-page letter to the group accusing it of aiming to influence the will of the electorate. Lawyers for Transparency International say the claims are false and are a response to queries it had for Chinese financing of Hungarian transport.
We were expecting, as a member of the civil society group in Hungary, that one or other of our organizations is going to be assessed or investigated. We are now scapegoated and singled out. Definitely it's a response to our pulling the legs of the Sovereignty Protection Office. We kept on submitting letters to this office, informing the head of the leadership of the office about potential sovereignty implication in Chinese influence in Hungary. China is giving a major state-financed loan to the Hungarian government to finance the Belgrade to Budapest railway, and this is a very obscure investment with no transparency requirements applying.
Budapest denies the sovereignty protection law is about stifling freedom of information and insists that the office is independent of the government and that the law aims to provide clarity on funding for NGOs.
Yeah, that's what he says. But in my estimation, this is the exact same thing as the law that we were looking at earlier this year that was passed by Georgian Congress, which their entire people, not their entire people, but a massive number of people were in fact protesting. However, they pushed it through regardless. And let's not forget that Viktor Orban of Hungary is a right-wing nationalist asshole with bad plans for Hungary and for Europe in general, I would say. Not just this particular legislation, also, although I would say this is not cool. Alright, let's go to one last story before we go back and talk about the Middle East. This is the United Nations from 12 hours ago, where US and members of Security Council discuss what's happening in Myanmar. Come on, somebody fix the mic.
Of violations of international humanitarian law and international human rights law across Myanmar that are deepening the humanitarian crisis. Recent reports indicate the Myanmar regime has taken deliberate steps in Rakhine State to use internally displaced persons, many of whom are Rohingya, as human shields amid the conflict. We are particularly concerned by reports indicating the regime has placed landmines around IDP camps and appears to have taken steps to use these camps as military bases. There are also credible reports of forced recruitment of persons, including children, belonging to ethnic minorities by the Myanmar Armed Forces in particular and other parties, which risk further fueling intercommunal tensions and aggravating the humanitarian situation. These concerning developments follow a range of reports of other violations and abuses, particularly by the Myanmar Armed Forces, including indiscriminate aerial bombardments of civilians and civilian objects, burning of civilian homes, attacks on humanitarian workers and facilities, and restrictions on humanitarian access. These practices are unacceptable. Since the regime's violent military coup in February 2021, an attack on the Myanmar population, the number of people in humanitarian need has risen from 1 million to 18.6 million.
Fuck off.
More than 2.9 million have been newly displaced, including 66,000 people who have sought protection in neighboring countries, adding to the more than 1 million Rohingya refugees who fled before the coup.
Yep.
We highlight the importance of all countries respecting the principle of non-refoulement. We reiterate our commitment to support safe, voluntary, dignified, and sustainable repatriation when conditions allow.
And the fact is if you're unaware of the Rohingya ethnic cleansing that happened in Myanmar, that's been ongoing because, I mean, while he pointed out 1 million plus Rohingya Muslim ethnic minorities left, there's still a large number of them still in Myanmar who either haven't been able to leave or do not want to leave and are dealing with just a fucking pile of just awful. Oh, God. Anyways, just wanted to get the UN's update on all this. I do not like those numbers at all. Okay. Well, we are on to talking about the Middle East, and specifically Gaza. Let's go to this. Calling it a night? Hey, I don't blame you, Janet. You do what you gotta do. Sleep is necessary. We are almost done with the stream, though. Let's go to this. Al Jazeera from 18 hours ago. Gaza garbage crisis. Diseases spreading rapidly as waste disposal infrastructure has collapsed.
The Saudi and Turkish foreign ministers have held talks in Istanbul and called for an end to Israel's war on Gaza. The two ministers once again stressed the need for an immediate ceasefire. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan says the international community should increase pressure on Israel to accept a deal. Sinem Kosyolu is in Istanbul following that meeting.
Oh, shit.
Saudi foreign...
I forgot. We don't need to talk about this. It's not that important. Turkey and Saudi Arabia have reaffirmed their desire for...
The situation here is deteriorating day after day as the shortage of fuel, food and water is aggravating the situation here. As you can see, I'm talking to you in front of a UNRWA school in the center of Jabalia refugee camp, which is overpopulated. This is the accumulated garbage on the entrance of the UNRWA school. And this could spread the diseases increasingly. And that shows you the insufficient sewage facilities here in this area.
Seriously, we've been talking about this quite a bit. And yesterday, I think, even, I talked about this, but in a different way. But I'd like you to all... Oh, yeah. Did you get... It's going to be a rollover. It's going to be a rollover situation, Mo. It just never wound up catching up with us. It's going to be Rod Serling. That's who you're getting. So sorry. But that is it, unfortunately, on adding support characters tonight. Yeah, last night I mentioned, I think, that, you know, when something like this gets hit by a bomb, you're talking about literal, just like, piles of bacteria and disease being blasted into the fucking air surrounding. So if you're not hit directly by the bomb, well, hey, maybe you'll inhale some fucking garbage dust or have that fall into a wound or whatever else. And it is just horrifying. I mean, people are already having to live like right next to it, and that's problematic as it is. But, oh God, this whole situation is just, it has devolved so far from where I thought we would wind up having an actual ceasefire. I'll be honest, I'm a pretty optimistic person, even though I constantly talk about doom. And I genuinely believed that by, I want to say, somewhere around April, I think, I was really kind of optimistic that this would be over shortly. But instead, it's just gotten worse and worse for the last 4 months. Or 3.5 months, whatever that is.
Sewers are overflowing in every house, on every street, which is causing an environmental disaster. It's leading to the spread of serious diseases, and it's putting more pressure on hospitals which already have limited medical supplies and capabilities.
And people are still waiting for water to fill their gallons on this school.
People have to walk a really long way to get to this area for water. There are no other water stations in the camp, and the water is only turned on once a week, on Fridays between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, or sometimes it's even turned off at 1 p.m.
This is the situation here and nothing else, Reb. And as you can see, they are struggling every day to adapt to this new life.
This is a completely preventable tragedy that we're looking at. Completely preventable. We know what needs to be done. And our leaders are just not willing to pressure Israel to stop. Especially as it relates to my viewers, as it seems like practically all of my viewers come from either United States, Canada, or the UK. Alright, let's go to this, which is probably not shocking to literally anyone. This is from TRT World from 5 hours ago, where according to them, the World Bank has said that the Palestinian Authority is facing financial collapse.
Walid Abu Mhaysin has been a civil servant with the Palestinian Authority for 25 years. He's married and a father to 7 kids. He says his family has been surviving on a tight budget as financial obligations continue to grow while his salary shrinks.
For more than a year now, we have been living a life of austerity. There is no progress. Salaries are paid 50 to 60% at best. We spend the bare minimum on eating, drinking, house rent, and car expenses. We can't afford any other obligations outside the family.
I just want to remind people that the Palestinian Authority is the West Bank Authority. This is not about Gaza, this is about West Bank.
Abu Mhaysin is one of about 200,000 civil servants who rely solely on the PA as their main income provider. But the authority is facing significant budget deficits, with the Israeli government continuing to withhold millions of dollars in Palestinian taxpayers' money and a lack of international donor aid. It might soon find itself on the brink of financial and political collapse.
The Palestinian Authority has historically relied for 20% of its revenues on international aid. It used to amount to approximately $1.5 to $1 billion annually. This has declined in recent years to less than $300 million in light of accusations against the Palestinian Authority that it is practicing wrong financial practices.
What is wrong?
It is accused of corruption and called on for reform, while also under pressure on the Palestinian Authority to take certain political positions.
The World Bank has warned the PA faces the risk of financial collapse due to declining revenues and sharp decline in economic activity.
How are they supposed to increase economic activity while literally being under siege by Israelis, right? Because we know the West Bank is a very similar situation to Gaza, not quite the same, but the land is being taken just at a unprecedented pace. Well, at least since the Nakba, I think, technically, or at least since the Oslo Accords. But this is just is obvious to anybody who, with, I think, a good head on their shoulders, that it's impossible for a country to somehow improve its economic situation under those kinds of circumstances. Oh, God. Alright, let's go to this. This we watched, I think, yesterday. Oh, by the way, this is our penultimate video. Well done. Give yourselves a hand. You've made it this far. Israeli strikes on UN-run school in Nusrat refugee camp kills at least 17. Al Jazeera from 23 hours ago. These fucking assholes.
The air is thick with the smoke and dust in Nusayrat after Israeli bombs hit a UN-run school. And then, a new panic and scenes of horror. Those initially running to help the wounded, forced to flee. It's a race to get to those buried alive, like this young boy. The force of the explosion was catastrophic for the hundreds of people sheltering within the walls of the school.
This is a fucking war crime.
Illegal.
It's the fucking UN logo on the side of this fucking building. This is disgusting. This is just disgusting. Every day we gotta see shit like this and nobody's gonna do anything about it. Is that a joke? This timeline is a fucking joke, I swear to God.
They are targeting civilians inside schools. Look, let the whole world see. These are the remains of a human being. This is a shelter. We are unarmed civilians.
The building's blue and white colors remove any doubt that this was a United Nations facility, but sheltering there did not and has not protected Palestinians in Gaza. Hamas has released a statement calling the attack barbaric.
We were all sitting in the building and some were cooking when the building collapsed on top of us. Many people were injured, some seriously. Just look at the blood. This is the blood of a child.
Our men are dead. Our men are dead. Our children are gone. There's no one left. No one. This is no way to live.
The number of casualties is pushing Gaza's crippled healthcare system to a breaking point. In the wake of this latest attack, Honor Wahid Felipe Lazzarini has called on the world to regain its common humanity.
Seriously.
The men, women, and children of Gaza, he says, have a right to life. Hani Mahmoud, Al Jazeera, Central Gaza.
This is just disgusting. This part always brings me to the brink of tears. I swear to God. It is really tough for me to get through this. It's always the hardest part of the stream for me. At some point, we won't have to do this anymore, I swear to God. We'll be able to talk about other stuff. 11 hours ago from TRT World. Last video. More than 80 Palestinians killed in the last 24 hours.
In Nusayrat, Palestinians are still counting the dead. The area, the Israeli forces said, was safe. But Sunday's attack
Now, just in case all these are blurring in your mind, which I would not blame you for, considering the sheer amount of data that people are having to try and keep in their heads, let me try and help you. This is different from the strike we talked about yesterday, which was the strike on the Al-Mawasi camp. It's Nusrat. The other strike that was in Al-Mawasi was supposedly targeting a Hamas member who Israel was completely incapable of confirming first their being there in the first place and whether or not he was even killed. But that strike killed, I believe, 90 people, injured 300. It was on a literal tent encampment. So 2 days ago, it's a tent encampment. Yesterday, it's a UN facility. I mean, where's the supposed global law and order people? I'm literally just asking the void right now.
And an UNRWA school shelter was so fierce that dozens are still under the rubble, with slim hopes for finding survivors. Several areas in the Palestinian enclave have been turned into no man's lands, while the sporadic zones that still welcome displaced people lack even the essentials.
300 days of thirst, hunger, suffering, and death. The stench of blood and smoke still linger. No trees left standing, no structure undamaged, and nobody left. Nothing is safe. Wherever you go in Gaza, there is death, from north to south and from east to west. There is no safe area in Gaza.
Against the run of events, Israel says it will keep chasing Hamas leadership. On Saturday, its forces attacked Al-Mawasi camp, killing dozens. Israel...
Yeah. This fucking asshole. I don't think I can even hear Yoav Golan talk right now. Literally can't deal with that. Well, made it through another one, chat. Difficult as usual. But, thankfully, we had each other to get through it. That's it for me tonight. Till I see you next. You stay classy, Galactic Extreme Nation. Can't forget this. These are your galactic patrons. Gabby, Goth Dogs, Aaron W, Mitty, Afrobonics, Interplanet Janet, PB, Robot Cat, The Anti-Corporatist, Boanoab, Nadia, Mrs. Jen, Omega Star, Pitchforks Dragon, Vincent Morales, and Donald James X. That's right, you can join this elite group of people for just a few US dollars a month. By clicking that link in chat, gain access to those sweet, sweet space benefits unseen by the rest of the goddamn Milky Way galaxy. Write that down.
Science.
Now, before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, I'd like to talk about another group of people. That is the Galactic Benefactors. That's right. The Galactic Benefactors are a different tier of galactic patrons, people who have decided they want to give the maximum possible amount to help make sure the Galactic News Network continues what it does. That's right. Because of their decision here, they get a special galactic shout-out. People like... Wait, what? Oh, it's taking too long. I didn't time that out properly. People like PB, who you see in this chat on the daily. Always coming to us with their fantastic awesomeness. People like Nadia, who is always in and out of chat, giving us her 2 cents. People like Moa Noah, who is not only a fantastic person and chatter, but also one of our galactic mods. Omega Star, that's right. Usually hiding out in Twitch chat, showing me all of the sweet, sweet galactic emojis they've earned. But also sometimes making appearances in the YouTube chat as well. That's right. And unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, there's a 5th galactic benefactor who has joined our ranks, but I'll wait for them to finish their galactic questionnaire to leak that to you. That does mean there's going to be even more galactic benefactor shoutouts, because each galactic benefactor adds another shoutout. I think this means we're at 5. So that means there's going to be 5 benefactor shoutouts per month. Crazy.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Alright, well... Not type that properly. That's not how you spell super secret or after hours. Good job, me. What is going on? That's... Oh. Oh, I see. Fixable. I do feel much safer now that we have this Securicat in the galactic pool. Why no sound? I clicked it. There we go. That's loud as fuck. There. Is it time to cry ourselves to sleep? Let's hope not. You're a plebeian? No. No. Do not interpret it in that way. Absolutely ridiculous. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and vital to the continuation of this here stream. Alright, chat, I'll be right back. I gotta hit the Galactic bathroom.